Hello and welcome to the King Heroes Journey podcast. My name is Beth Martins and I'm so excited today to be having three amazing souls on the King Heroes Journey. It's really, truly an honor for me. And so I would like to just quickly introduce you guys to them before maybe I'll bring them on and it'll be more fun to introduce them while they're around. And I'm still getting my house in order. So let's get this right little thing up there to signify the King Heroes Journey. If you're new to the King Heroes Journey, this is a podcast where I've hosted the strong souls, the innovators, the groundbreakers, the truth tellers, people that are not afraid to go against the grain in order to grow and also teach and be an example of that. So I know we have three great teachers coming on today. Mr. Roy FutureMan, this is his second time on the King Heroes Journey podcast. We had an incredible discussion the first time around. It was literally left me with all kinds of food for my soul, and it was transformational, and I got a good teaching about the truth and telling the truth, which was good. So do go back and have a listen to that if you like. KG Kery Greene is a friend of Roy's who's also interested in the hero's journey, also in his own right, a fabulous musician. Micah Ellars, I've been working closely with, totally honored to do that. He's got a fabulous background in filmmaking and acting coaching, and now is combining that up with the work of consciousness through the tradition of Gurdjieff. If you're familiar with him or not, we're going to no doubt be going into that. So without further ado, I'm going to bring these guys on because they're waiting in the back end. Hello and welcome, Micah.
Hi. Oh, my mic's open. Hey.
Hey, were you guys hearing anything I said?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, good. That's awesome. And Mr. Roy Wooten, Roy L, is here. So I'm going to kill that banner because it'll give us a little bit more screen room to get us on, and we can see everybody's name. And Roy, you can't hear me? Micah and Kery, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
I can hear you fine.
Okay, this happened last time. That was so interesting. It was exactly the same thing. So let's see. I'll just private chat to Roy and see if he catches that. It can be hard on the phone.
It's his audio's coming through to us though, because I can hear when he's touching the phone.
Yeah, I can hear it.
Yeah.
Great point.
That's
exactly. Yeah. So while we're figuring this out, come and say hello in the chat. I noticed Michelle's here. Nice to have you here. She's asking you kindly to like, share, and subscribe, which does actually help me, even though I always forget to say that. So great you're here, Michelle. And so we'll be figuring this out. I'm going to go a little bit deeper into the backgrounds of these great souls. And that's not to blow smoke up your butt. It's just an admiration. You guys are definitely let's say a good example for others that are maybe wanting to be deeper in a creative space of some kind. So Roy was born in 1957. He's best known by his name FutureMan, or Fuch, not Futch, but Fuch. I know that now. He's was the young drummer for Bella Fleck and the Flanktones, and he's also part of the Wooten brothers with the best bassist in the world, Victor Wooten. Roy's the inventor of the drumitar and also developed something called Roy L. You'll see his name there, Roy L. A futuristic, and I'm gonna quickly mute. While Roy's figuring that out, and then we'll bring him back into the sound. Born in Virginia, Wooten comes from a prominent musical family. So all five brothers, this was a beautiful thing for me to watch, the relationships around the music that typically I want to go into this around the culture of the arts in general, and how Roy and his family seem to break all those rules of tendencies that are going on in there. All right, let's see how this goes. Roy is back. Let's see. He's got his thumbs up. Hello, Roy.
Check.
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Got you.
Right. Yes.
Okay, that's excellent. Okay, fantastic.
All right.
Perfect. And looks like we've got one of KG's friends. Thank you for inviting them. Much appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
Just got a little chat over here. So he said no, but we're good to go now.
Yeah.
Perfect. And Mr. Kery Greene, I've got some links from you. You're a do you want to say more about yourself in terms of, like, you are a teacher of music, you're also a very fine and groovy musician. I've had a chance to hear some of your stuff. Do you want to say anything more about yourself?
I mean, sure. I for a long time, you know, I came here years ago in '07, like many musicians, just trying to get to it, trying to figure it out. What's the path? What's the, you know, what's going to be my traction, and so on and so forth. And what ended up emerging is, long short, if I can do that, is I ended up building a bridge for myself into that stratosphere of musicians that I thought were just basically getting more gigs. So I felt like I was a 6 when I got here out of 10, and I needed to figure out fast after I went to a couple of shows, and definitely after I met Roy and some of our comrades, I had to figure out fast how to get myself to 8, 9, and I needed to do it for free. And so, you know, I had more time on my hands at a particular time. I was going through a divorce, and this bridge just kind of opened up to me at how I could gain that understanding and really bridge what I thought was essential to know about commercial music theory. And so that's the crux of my teaching, is I try to just make that theory very applicable for students to appreciate the music they already love, and maybe develop their own musicianship with these same rules.
That's beautiful. And when did you start thinking about the hero's journey?
Oh my gosh. I encountered a book like shortly before I met Roy, actually, called The Writer's Journey by Chris Vogler. And it was such a profound treatise, not only on the writing journey and the creative journey, but it exposed me to a greater degree to Joseph Campbell, of course. And I flung myself down that rabbit hole, man. I still haven't come out.
Mm-hmm.
There's no coming out of that one, just so you know. You only go in and deeper. Yeah, thank you.
Roy knows about portals. He knows about portals.
Right on, right on. Yeah, we're going to go so deep. We're probably going to go deeper than I've ever gone on any interview. So I was realizing this is likely to be the most fascinating interview I've ever done. It's pretty epic. So thanks for being here.
Really dope. Really dope.
And so Micah has a very interesting background in filmmaking, having come through the arts, working on a lot of different projects. He's done music videos and films, and also got into coaching actors, and is an actor himself. And along the way, I'll get him to say anything more about it, but he encountered the work of Gurdjieff, as we all do on the hero's journey, hit those points that I'll let him speak for himself about it, but where life demands more, that there's an awareness, there's more meaning, there's more depth, there is more purpose here, which to me is what the hero's journey is all about. And that sent him into the work of Gurdjieff. If people are not familiar with him, he's a teacher. What was he born in? 1888 or something like that, or 1878. So he's long past, but his work has come forward, and it's been amazing in the House of Free Will. Micah has brought that. We've now done a course together. We're planning a second course. I'll say more about that later. And now what I'm watching Micah do is to combine all of these elements, right? It's not like, oh, I was that and now I'm this. What I'm seeing you do, Micah, is to bring this all together in a kind of wholeness, which is one of my highest values. And so is there anything more you want to say by way of introduction?
No, it was a great introduction. I think I'd be eager to just jump into the questions and where you want to take it.
Okay, fantastic. And Roy, anything more to say since you're sitting in the background?
About me or about this subject?
Well, we can just dive right into the subject. I do have questions, and I've got a first one. So unless there's anything you want to say about, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, really, thank you, Micah, for being here. Just glad to be on this with you. And KG, man, thank you for coming, man. I met KG. I just saw KG because I wanted him to jump in this role of Alexander Dumas. And he came to a photo shoot, and we ended up talking about the hero's journey for a long time. He was into Vogler, who wrote The Writer's Journey. And I was very steeped in the hero's journey. So we just made that connection between music, you know, KG being a great musician, and how it plugged into music, you know. And so I was talking about how the hero's journey, Star Wars is based on the hero's journey. George Lucas, learning from Joseph Campbell, patterned his whole Star Wars after Wagner, who was basing the ring cycle off the hero's journey. And this is where you tell, and Vogler revealed this in the writer's room that Kery talked about. We talked about that, how the thing about George Lucas, when he did his first story, we talk about music and the hero's journey, he told the musician, composer, John Williams,
John
right?
Williams. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he told John Williams, it's not going to be sci-fi synthesizers, blips and bleeps. No, it's going to be through composed, orchestral, because he was doing Wagner, the ring cycle. And so they're going to have light motives, musical motives for the themes, carrying you through. When you hear bow, 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 when you hear that, you know somebody's in trouble. See, right? But the way that that connects with Wagner, that is literally a Wagner thing that they didn't transpose. They didn't change it at all. See what I'm saying? So there is a musical theme that threads one of the most profound, prolific heroes' journeys of today that goes right back to Wagner, who's the classical composer, said, I'm not just going to play classical music, but I'm going to tell stories through that music. See what I'm saying? They're going to tell stories. Now, here's the key that I got from Vogler, and then I'll let it go. Vogler, I forget, I used to remember the page on the book where he says, the thing about Star Wars that was George Lucas was planning to do a series of stories that would go 9 to 12 movies. See what I'm saying? Because Wagner, I think Wagner did 4 of his 6, a continuum of story. See what I'm saying? So he knew that he was going to tell a story that was going to lead to a story, that was going to lead to a story. And that's why the first episode of Star Wars is episode 4. The very first movie is episode 4. We're in the middle. See, in the hero's journey, we drop right in the middle. Right? See what I'm saying? He's executing a hero's journey that's like, okay, we're not even starting with episode 1. See what I mean? And right there, I was like, wow, as musicians, we have music videos, but a lot of musicians aren't even thinking about the music video. They just let somebody else do it. You do it. I don't even care about it. I'm just going to play the music. And it's like, maybe we can take a different attitude to this storytelling thing. They said Mozart was a great storyteller, right? They wrote this serious music, but then they told the story too, the magic flute. Beethoven, these guys, Beethoven struggled at the story a little bit harder. Mozart was more natural at it. But I'm just saying this thing about story and music is a great subject, and I'm glad to be here. So that's my 2 cents. Yeah.
Fantastic. That was at least $10.
Yeah, it's just past the collection plate after that, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so beautiful. That's it's one of the things I love about the hero's journey is that it's kind of like a wheel and a spiral, and you jump on wherever you can. Right. It's not like, oh, okay, children, now let's start at the beginning with some ABCs. And that can be a good way to go. And sometimes when you've been in the midst of it and you're, going back to the beginning can be fantastic. I'm sure you guys all know that the beginner's mind and the Zen mind around art is such a gift. The first thing I'd like to talk about, just because I'm so interested in how all 3 of you now, KG, we're just getting to know each other, but I'm going vicariously through Roy, and just the feeling off you. I do have pride myself in some good intuition, instincts around people's goodness, and so the industries that you guys are in, say, like the business of music, the business of film, the business of fame, the business of acting. All of those kind of things are replete with values that I bet I'm just guessing are not really, your top values by any stretch of the imagination. So the anthropologist in me, which is where I learned about the hero's journey the first time, more of an intellectual kind of thing compared to now, is, the culture around your work, it is a very powerful influence. So I'd like to go around and hear from each of you and ask, how did you navigate that? How did you manage to come through it with your whole soul compared to many who sold their soul to the devil for fame and fortune and all of that kind of thing? So who would like to start on that one? We can just go around. Go ahead, go.
Well, shoot, I guess I'll go.
Okay. Okay.
In my role.
You go ahead, Kery, for sure.
So I think, I don't meet very many souls that have jumped off the deep end and gone to the dark side, but I do know very many of us who have become susceptible to dark choices, and that's for a variety of reasons. I think for me, on discovering how I could be a bridge for the way that I understood from my Black church gospel background at how music was affecting me, and then coming here to a professional program of really having to have your music knowledge be functional. And it was in that process that music theory and music principles began to just lift off the page and become other things. And I think that's one of the things that I really love about Roy is that it's those, I call them extra musicals. It's like extraterrestrial. We have these extra musical objects that really light him up, and they light me up. And I try to transfer some of that light, oftentimes via rants, but I try to transfer some of that light to my students and to my colleagues, because a lot of us are just not aware of how capable or incapable our nervous system is built for the culture that you describe. And oftentimes it's just not about the music or the industry or the work that we do. We find that we're adequate for that, but it's some of these other things that dysregulate our nerves and spin us into patterns to making darker and darker choices, or more and more self-defeating choices, that I think that's really what being sold to the devil really looks like, at least from my perspective.
Nice. And if I could just ask one follow-up question, what do you think has made you more immune to that?
I am not immune. I am just as susceptible as all. But what is the passage there? But by the grace of God, there go I.
Yeah.
I have been the recipient of a tremendous amount of grace, a tremendous amount of mercy that has afforded me an opportunity to speak. I've had many professions that I didn't think I would make it out of alive. And so to be in this one and to have this connection to it and to connect with such luminary individuals along the path, like that's what keeps me. I want to stay in that path. If that's the golden path for me, I want to walk it and bring as many as I can into it.
How beautiful is that? Thank you so much, Kery. Micah, can I call on you for the same question? So I have to imagine you're muted, just so you know.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. And so how did you navigate all of that stuff in the film world? And people, no doubt, were, wanting your attention, wanting you to like them and approve of them so they could get opportunities. And maybe, that obviously can work both ways. How did you navigate all of that?
Well, I think it's similar. I mean, they're, KG and Roy are both in a similar type of industry. It really attracts probably some of the worst people and some really twisted people. You know what I mean? It's seedy and all that. So you do get exposed to it, I would say, more so than normal, because it feeds your false personality so easily. Because it's all about, you get to be, if you all are performing your own stage, or someone's in front of a camera, or someone's got a whole crew of people that listen to them, and they can feel like a little general, I think that it has to do with maybe I don't know if you guys are familiar with Stephen Pressfield, the author that wrote The War of Art. Do you know him?
Oh,
one of my favorites. Also, okay. Legend of Bagger Vance, one of my favorite films.
Yes. Oh, it's a great book, great movie. Yeah. Great city too. Savannah is my favorite city. But anyway, so what I was going to say is he talked about the danger was hierarchical motivation versus latitudinal. So hierarchical meaning I want to be in charge, I want power, fame, wealth, money. If that becomes the motivator, you go to the dark side pretty quickly. And that's also what's turned the industry into crap, in general, is because everything becomes about that. Instead of someone, I think you were saying, KG, musical forms, like an alien form you could interact with. You care more about the craft and the art than maybe the power that it can give you in some way. And I think that it's just how you're aligned and motivated, and you could fall to that at any point. Like he was just saying, we're all human and susceptible. And in Star Wars, at some point, Vader was a good guy, so we all have that inner temptation. Like Luke had to face it in the cave, it was, which path would he choose? So I think just like that, you just have to be aware. And I was not, that wasn't the primary draw for me. So I think because of that, even though I felt it at times, and, there've been temptations, it just, if that's not what motivates you, then, it's a little bit easier than I think just falling right into the meat grinder, the ego meat grinder, and it's gonna make you a nice little patty.
That's wonderful. Yeah, that's wonderful. That's a different kind of food. That's food for the moon. It's kind of insider talk around here, but yeah. Thank you so much, Micah. That's wonderful. And Roy, what would you say about that? How did you navigate and stay a good person and related to your brothers in such a generous way?
Yeah, I think maybe I had a little advantage just because our parents were so right there. And so we had a foundation that believed in what we were doing and also could navigate the issue. Because I grew up when racism was very hot. So that's already a dark side pressing on your whole psyche, trying to tell you that you're not worth. Okay, here's the story. When I was in 3rd grade, I raised my hand to ask my 3rd grade teacher a question. And she answered me by saying, "You don't have a history. Your history is slavery." Like, wow, that was so left the field, man. Like, but I felt her impact. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even have a right to ask a question. So I went home and talked to my mom a long time about it that night. See, I'm surviving. That's an antagonist. And it's not her individually. We understood that this is what she grew up with. Her attitude towards you was that, but you don't have to have the same attitude back. That was the great thing. As I'm talking, I remember a great boon that my mom gave me. Said, just because people hate you, a lot of people say, well, you're gonna hate me. Well, I can get into it. I'm gonna just meet you with whatever you dishing. Come on, bring it, right? But she said, you don't have to come the same way that they come. You know what I'm saying? Forgive them, for they know not what they do. If they knew better, they might do better, but they just don't know. See? So you don't have to come the same way people are coming at you. That's a great lightsaber right there. A lightsaber and a lifesaver.
And a time saver.
Like, your heart doesn't have to get dark when people come at you. So it's like surviving is a story of resilience and stick-to-itness. Finding what it is that lights you up, like somebody said, and being able to be encouraged to stick to that. Ours was music, so it took us ahead in a fast lane very fast. We saw drugs, we saw smoking, we saw drinking, we saw all of that, and it wasn't gorgeous. It wasn't even attractive to us. We were right up on it. So we didn't have to try to act like we wanted to do that. You know what I mean? We just were able to stick to our thing. And it's like talking about the dark side. And this reminds me of a story where I asked my uncle. I said, Uncle Woody, man, I keep hearing about the crossroads. I'm gonna bring it to Star Wars, the dark side, right? What's up with the crossroads, man? Somebody going to make a deal with the devil so that they can just like excel and go to the next level. But we're gonna go to the crossroads. I said, Uncle Woody, man, I keep hearing about the crossroad, man. What's up with the crossroads? Is that real? I remember asking him, is there something to that? He said, yeah. He said, think about all the people and all the contracts and oaths that people have taken, even in fraternities, right? He just made it really plain, man. He just said, think about all the oaths, the secret oaths people have taken. See what I mean? The things that they've done in secret to get where they've got. That's the crossroads right there. See what I mean? Like, he made it real plain. So we talk about, I'm jumping around, but I'm talking about in music. A lot of times we're facing the crossroad, and it's a quantum step. But when we say a quantum step, somebody just said at the Confluence Festival, quantum means small. No, it was another talk that I went to, but quantum, on the quantum level, we're down here. And so the dark side and stuff is coming at you at micro steps.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? What are the micro decisions that we're making to do our very best? It's on that quantum level that people are saying, okay, the bass player, for the love of money, you know, he said, look, you just signed this contract. We're going to pay you more money than you ever made before. It's just thousands of dollars. Well, he plays doo-doo, 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 doo-doo. His part is the song, but he signed the contract, right? We run into the bank and we making all this money, but he says, look, man, we made all this money based around my thing. I should be able to get paid. And they hold up the paper. You signed the contract. See what I mean? The deal with the devil is like that, man. Sometimes you got to pay attention to these little small steps when you don't know any better and you got all this talent and somebody says, man, just play. We're just going to run the recording and see what you come up with. You know what I mean? Billy Preston did a lot of stuff like that where he made the whole track. So it's kind of like in life you learn, right? But for everything that I'm saying, in the hero's journey, the person that's opposing you is there for a reason. It takes resistance a lot of times to develop your oomph, to develop your muscle, to develop your will, to develop your mind, to develop your focus. So you see what I'm saying? That villain or that antagonist, and you can really see it in terms of a story. In a story, if you're going to write a movie, the hero isn't just going to glide to the end and get everything they want without a challenge. You won't have a story. And life works like that too. So for all of these, somebody offered me a contract, you know, whoa, do I want to sign that? We become a little bit more wise during the way. But if we did and we take it as a lesson. It's not about winning and losing, but it's like winning and learning.
Mm-hmm.
We're learning on the way in the hero's journey, and the antagonist, the dragon that's placed in your path, the drill sergeant that's yelling in your face is there for a reason. See what I'm saying? And so let me just leave this idea with this. If you look at the game of life, like football is a rough game, man. And every single play that you run, your antagonist on the other side of that line is trying to take you down every single play. So in life, a lot of times we get knocked down and man, people's feelings get hurt. Oh, wow, man, they didn't like my song. I messed up. And then you laying down. But in football, you got to get back up and run the next play. See what I'm saying? So if we take this hero's journey and this life and the oppression and the hits that we got to take, and we take it like a game, the football player can't lay down, man. You got to get up and run the next play. And you're going to get knocked down again until you figure something out. And whoa, you get through. And if we take it like a game, I think that this hero's journey can have a lot of meaning and develop a lot of resilience. And so what I was going to say too, in your question about how did you survive, a lot of times it's just resilient and stick to itness. The little red caboose, I think I can. The teacher says, no, you can't ask a question. But in my heart, I go, I think I can, right? I can. See what I'm saying? So that's my answer. You know, you can outlast your oppressor and grow stronger, learning to get around it or through it.
That's so beautiful. I love it. What a great answer. Yeah, that's one of my highest values is commitment. And when I teach purpose, commitment is first.
Yes.
And it came to a point where I don't even want to work with someone who's not 100% all in.
Yeah.
Right? Because then they're vulnerable to quit at this turn or that turn when the antagonist comes and tests them and they can't find their inner strength. They're like, oh, I'll just quit. This wasn't my sacred purpose after all. And those people that just keep going and they just keep getting up after they get hit, that's remarkable. It builds over time.
Yes, yes. And what you say addresses something in the hero's journey where you can accept the call. Life a lot of times is giving you a call, but you didn't even know you were being called, right? And you can accept the call or refuse the call. And sometimes it's quicker than your thought process around it. You know what I mean? Life is looking for commitment. Are you going to say yes, but are you really going to say yes? And what you said about you're looking for commitment reminded me of when Napoleon Napoleon Hill was approached by Andrew Carnegie, right? And he said, I want you to write this book. I'm going to introduce you to all of these wealthy people, and you're going to learn I want you to write about the laws of success and wealth. I'm not going to pay you. Will you do it? You know what I mean? And Napoleon Hill said in his mind, something made him doubt, but there's something made him say, yes, I'll do it. Not only will I do that, I'll do a great job or something like that. And Andrew Carnegie said, I like the way you answered that question. See what I'm saying? So, you know, Napoleon Hill, in his natural mind, he didn't even know this is a rich guy and he's not going to pay me for all this. It's going to take a couple of years. See what I mean? There's the call right there. It's not made plain.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But you take that path, whoa, and look how everything changes. There's that it was the quantum call. It's so small, sometimes you won't hear it. You know?
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
looking for commitment and life.
That was one thing that surfaced to me too, because you evoked Stephen Pressfield, and one of my guiding phrases from him is that sometimes resistance points out due north. Like sometimes the fact that you're being buffeted, that you're being resisted, does mean that that's the direction. And I know that doesn't wax true for every person, but when you're a purposeful person, when you have intention and you have chosen a direction, you will find oftentimes that there's going to be resistance to just the direction that you've chosen to go. And oftentimes he said that points out true north.
There you go. That's beautifully spoken. Micah, do you want to talk about that? Because that's your subject there with the second force.
Yeah, sure. Well, yeah. And simply, it's kind of like what you're both saying, that not only is the resistance part of it, it's mandatory. You can't even you can't even enhance yourself without it, right? And so
negotiate it.
No, it's like if you're lifting weights, you have to have that resistance to trigger the muscle growth, right? The hypertrophy. You have to have the struggle, or there is no growth, right? There is no adventure.
Yes.
And you see it as it baked into the cake, like he's saying. If football is a good analogy, you get up and you accept it, because the football player accepts it's just part of it, right? They're doing it all the time, so they're good with the struggle. And as far as first force, second force, the idea is that we all want something which generates a direction positively towards it, but we don't understand that that immediately evokes a secondary force, which is what Pressfield would call resistance, right? And so we don't see the consequence. Like, you want to do something, just like in your Andrew Carnegie example, you want to learn the secrets and be a writer and all that. Okay, good, do this, but you're going to do it for free. And it took him years, and he had to figure out how to survive. And that's so to me, it's like when you start to accept it, we don't try to cope anymore with the fact that there's always a struggle. And I think that's what changes the flavor of life to a degree with the hero's journey. If you're being aware of it as a fabric, is you start realizing, it's like we watched the movie and we love Luke Skywalker, right? We can talk Star Wars because it is a perfect archetype map for of any film ever made. That's why everything tries to copy it. But we all see Luke progress and learn to take up his call, but we don't realize that at the end of the movie we're supposed to be Luke Skywalker, but not with the lightsaber at the fan screening of the film, but in our life. And that means what? Well, look how much struggle he had to go through. Look at the pain. Look at the adversarialism that he was up against over and over again, betrayal, all that, and it's part of it. And I think that is where films can be wonderful, and then they can also just be something that soothes us into thinking we're growing because we're watching other characters doing it. So that's what we have to be careful of, right?
That's sublimation.
Yeah. And I think it's a powerful thing to realize if you want to do something great, there will be an even harder adversary for you. It will be even harder. So the scale of which you want to operate,
Yeah, and what's cool about what you just said, it just made me think of how struggle is a part, and nature shows that to you when the butterfly is emerging from the cocoon. There's a new creature emerging that used to be a caterpillar that died to what it was and is being reborn with wings. But you cannot help the butterfly out of that cocoon. Like you see it and you go, oh, it's struggling. It's trying to get out of this thing, right? But that struggle, if you help that butterfly get out of that cocoon, the wings won't have strength to fly. It won't even be able to execute its new form. See what I'm saying? So, whoa, what a powerful lesson there. And they say even being birthed out of the mother's womb, that struggle has a thing, getting coated with all of that struggle and liquid and fluid. There's a powerful purpose to struggle. And if we can embrace that, then, and I think in our most difficult times, we can sort of reflect on the fact that, winning and learning, it's not about losing, but it's something about learning and growing through the opposition.
That's amazing.
So that's what brought to my mind the butterfly.
That's beautiful. I'll use another metaphor. You must all have heard this already, but when you break an egg from the inside, it's called life. And when you break an egg from the outside, it's called death.
Ooh.
Wow. That's
right.
Oh, okay.
All from play.
Yeah. I use that a lot. I didn't make that up, but
nice.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. And then it's what I hear you saying, Roy, is that there's the desire. Say people have the desire for money, for fame, for being good enough. These are programs for getting it perfect, just right, so they don't die. This is I'm pointing towards unconscious internal directives out of fear and desire and programmed fear. Actually, the same. When you want, you're afraid not to have. And so if that's the soul drive, then it's going to be what I picked up this word mechanistic. It's going to be like a machine. And we're going to stay in those normal ways of being in life where you just are trying to get what you want. And then someone comes along and tries to stop you and they're the enemy. So you kill and you crush them. And what we're talking about here is an entirely different path. Roy, you said the word learning. Right? The learning and the growing. And that's where all of the resistance, all of the enemies, all of the disappointments, all of the losses, all of the crushings that life delivers become your lesson, become your food for that growth.
Yes. Yeah.
Rather than having it eat you, or, that's not quite exactly accurate, but that your essence starts to consume. This is my newest lesson that I've been learning and playing with a lot, that essence literally consumes the darkness. It consumes the mechanistic nature we would otherwise be in. So I'm just going off the deep end. Anyone want to add anything?
Yeah.
I go ahead.
No, go ahead, KG. Go ahead.
I felt like there was there was something that relates strongly to how I try to relate to my students, to simplify some of these really large principle things, at least how they exist in my mind, and try to bring them to the piano side or to the microphone side for a vocal or piano student. But when these things begin to come off the page and really be impactful and resonant to you personally, then you do need a small framework to attach these large things to. And it's easy for me to I'm listening to the solutions that I offer as I hear you all present the issue. I'm like, do I have an answer for that? I do. I feel it's kind of affirming to hear that the way I've kind of approached breaking down these simple music principles into understanding how chord formation is the beginning of function in music, and how chord progressions are the beginning of feelings in music, and how melodies approach our hearts, how harmonies approach our mind, how we develop intellect from the first time we grasp harmony. That's grasping the two things. This is the intellect that makes us supersede many animals, being able to just hold two things, let alone for a developed artist who is having to hold rejection and acceptance. It's those larger things that I had to learn how to contract some way. And so I'm really grateful for the discussion, because you remind me that there are solutions, and that's what I proffer, is that feeling of I've been strengthened, I've been nurtured because I've been exposed to something that made it make sense to me.
There you go. That's beautiful. You went right to the alchemy, and I have the word alchemy written all over my notes, which I haven't said out loud, but it's so what we're doing here, the holding of the two things. And this is, just to bring the point home that, Micah, do you want to talk about this? Because I have a phrase, marriage of the opposites. That's a tool and a technique that I've taught over the years, where you have two strong opposing positions. It might be the desire for something and the resistance to something all at the same time. For most people, that just creates a spin. They go around in circles and usually do nothing with that. And I know this holds up in Gurdjieff's work as well. Micah, do you want to say something about that?
Hegel too.
What's that?
I was going to say it's like the Hegelian dialectic too. The opposite, this thesis and antithesis come together and create a new synthesis is a very powerful insight. Yeah.
Go.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just that if you want, so there's the idea that you have the polarity, like he was just saying, the Hegel term, thesis, antithesis, and then synthesis. But with first force and second force, meaning the thing, the draw to the thing, and then what resists the thing. If you can learn, there's the technique to develop the ability to feel them both simultaneously, and then that opens up the hidden third force, because there's always a hidden third force that neutralizes the two and unifies them. And everything in the world of phenomena, so everything that happens from a chemical reaction to a breakthrough to the butterfly coming out, every single thing that emerges new in the material reality is because of a hidden third force that's connecting a polarity. We can see the polarity, but we don't see the hidden part, right? And kind of like how a magnet emanates a north and a south pole, right? And we can see them disappear into counter space. But what's the actual magnet, right? See, the magnet doesn't exist. You're seeing the emanation of what appear to be two forces, which are really like a binary opposing itself. And there's energy there. That's how we generate electricity, right? Is we learn to use the magnetic tension to then strip the electricity, right? And so by churning it up. And so that's we have to conscious suffering is the ability to begin to do that, which generates third force in you, which then can allow for those what would seem, you guys as musicians know, creative breakthrough moment, for example, right? Something came out of nowhere. All of a sudden you could do something. There was a phase transition where you could do something that you couldn't do before, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's what Freshfield, he describes that perfectly. We're reaching into that ether, trying to hold on to something, trying to be present in the world. And what I've been using, my new true toy, I'm borrowing that from you, Beth, has been integration. As I become an older male and an older musician, older father, older son, you find that the physicality and all of the expression that was exuberance, and then a lot of the wisdom nuggets along the way begin to integrate. And that's kind of like that third panel that you're describing for me, that opens up. It's like, now all of a sudden I'm able to see people, and when I meet them, now I'm seeing them holographically from my story, and I'm seeing myself holographically through my own story and the lessons and how I can govern myself, and how there's value or benefit in places that I never would have looked when I was strong in exuberance or strong in wisdom. It's just that integration that has come about lately that has been key.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's so interesting, Michael, when you were talking, it made me think about the third force, the this force and the that force. And when we look at something like zero, and it made me think of sort of like this binary nature of zero, where if you add more zeros, you think of zeros kind of a nothing, right? But you add a 0 to the 1 and it goes by a factor of 10. You add another 0, whoa, now we got 100. You add another 0, whoa, it's 1,000. So 0 is expanding, but you multiply by 0 and everything comes back. You know what I mean? It's like two principles. One is expanding, one is explosion, one is implosion. See what I mean? Like 0 is showing us like it's like the magnet. One side is pulling, one side is pushing out. You're talking, this is engine stuff. This is really like, it's not just nothing that we're talking about here. And to me, in music, getting back to music, when you see like the F hole in music, you'll see it kind of curves this way. Then on the bottom, it curves that way. And it's showing this one side spinning in, one side spinning out. And in the middle of the F hole, it has that event, that third little thing. And if you listen to Marco Rodi, he talks about that other third force is something very special that happens when he talks about the perfect suction, the perfect pump. When it goes from implosion, whoa, crosses over to explosion. Right there, the crossover is the perfect pump. And something special happens. And everyone who makes an F hole an instrument acknowledges that, whether we know it or not. There it is, you know. And it's like when we're dealing with music, we're dealing with something so epic. We don't even know why we do things, but it's affecting us at so many levels. And when I say epic, I think in terms of that word quantum being minute,
extra musical,
right? But it can be on the quantum level. It seems like we're taking a quantum leap. I'm about to jump over the mountain, but no, it's so small. It's you know what I'm saying? So the way I want to lead people to think about it in music is like the hero's journey, which it gives us blueprints that's going to happen in life. There's going to be opposites. You're going to leave your familiar world to go to the unfamiliar world. You're going to meet mentors and you're going to meet people that's against you. You're going to, you're going to go up. You're going to go through the valley of the shadow of death. You're going to be challenged, right? But in music, right? Before every song that the symphony plays or a song, a lot of times rock bands, between every song, they're tuning up. This is micro. See what I'm saying? They're tuning, man. We gonna play all the right notes, but if it's out of tune, it's not working. See what I'm saying? That's quantum. So borrowing from music, how is it that I'm tuning myself every day when I wake up, right? Between every song, between every hour. You know what I mean? What do we do? Hour of the day. They're doing it between every song they're tuning up. Because you can hit all the right notes, but if you're out of tune, it's not hitting your mark. So what I'm saying is I'm just trying to draw a picture of this quantum thing. You're just tuning is sometimes people can't even tune without a tuner. They can't even do it with their ear because it's so micro. They can't tell which way I'm supposed to go. But I just want to leave that idea about music and the hero's journey applying to us. If this is so for the violin and the trombone and the trumpets, how much so for the human body? What are we doing to tune ourselves up daily, hourly? See what I'm saying? Between every hour, it's like in between every song. It's just something, this is not homework. It's just something to think about. How music is showing us a way. And the way is not about big old giant steps all the time. It's minute. You're just a little bit out of tune. So everything you're saying is right. But man, you disturbing the cymatic patterns ain't making the pattern that they're supposed to make off of the beauty of what you just said because it's out of tune. So anyway, that's the thought I was having.
I want to make sure I don't leave our audio people out, because that was my first passion as well before I became a professional music. Is I went to school to be an audio engineer to learn how to make records. And it was during that time that I learned that relationship between tones, which instruments can create, and the frequencies that exist all the time freely. And learning that as a musician, and especially now as a teacher, being able to usher people into that understanding, like we're going to use this instrument, the piano, to draw these tones from these frequencies that are already there. And if they question like tones already there, what does that mean? Then I'm happily lead them to the Schumann resonance that's going on all the time, growing plants. creating all kinds of outcomes, especially for the company Caterpillar. But anyway, but yet that resonance going on, enhancing vegetation, also enhancing us. It's going on all the time. And separating that and the therapy of understanding frequencies and being into the rigor of a music understanding and education and commanding tones and commanding performance, so on and so forth. Like that separation for me began as an audiophile, as a person using my ears to try to find work and mixing. And so I just want to make sure that they don't feel left out of this arc of the journey, because there is some trial in learning, as Roy was talking about, these micro things. Can you imagine when you're listening closely and somebody doesn't know they're out of tune? And then now you're going to have to develop language and personality to try to negotiate these little micro problems, piece of gear is failing, electrical anomaly in a studio, all of these little micro challenges that tune you. So yeah, I wanted to make sure they didn't feel left out.
Yeah, and if I add one more thing to go micro even further, is if when you think about, for this for the audience and everyone to relate to, you think about the vibes that you're putting off by how you're thinking and feeling, what you're thinking about. So there's Dr. Emoto who worked with water, and you can think a thought or feeling, a word, say a word to water and freeze it, and it will freeze and show you a pattern that relates to your intention. This is like Bruce Lee. Oh, you know what I mean? I interrupted your intention. I felt your intention before you even said it. So even your intention is going even more quantum, that it's affecting the matrix of reality, how you feel about it. See what I'm saying? And can you work on that? See what I'm saying? I'm going from tuning to even tuning our feelings and our thoughts, how we feel about things. How can we shape that? You know what I mean? To make things resonate in such a way that it can become more what it can be. So I just wanted to say, you know, we can relate to these things on more and more quantum levels. And, you know, yeah, it's kind of a fun journey. Think about someone and then they call, you know.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I love it that you can become so accountable to, I'll say, the truth, right? Because that's what it boils down to. When something's in tune, it's resonant, it's aligned as nature would have it, or however you would want to say that. And it's the small quantum choices that present us every single day that are going to be that, you know, I think it was Kery used the word rigor, or Roy did, I'm not sure. And it is a work, right? It's easier to go along in your day and just bumble along and respond to this and react to that. But the intention is everything. And this is where I really learned about the difference between conscious intention and unconscious intention, which interestingly is more powerful. Right? It's the stuff in the underground that has more influence. That's the nature of programming, that it holds these intentions that are not actually in our best interest or anybody else's. And then, you know, self-honesty. This is something that I've appreciated working with Micah, that it's about telling the truth. We were doing the exercise at the last class of a course that we gave called The End of the False Self. And this one, I was playing a role. So I was, you know, not playing myself. We're using the acting coaching as a way to bring up and out of us. Oh, it looks like Roy had to come on again. Let me just quickly add him.
Call came through my phone and just knocked my sound out.
Okay. Take out the second one. So hopefully that doesn't ruin anything.
Yeah.
How's that now?
I'm good. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. We've got like 5 of you backstage now. Which is okay. Better, more Roy's. And yeah, so the telling of the truth. I was in this role, and I was able to fulfill on the role and get something. And then later, it was when all of this stuff started to come forward in my consciousness. Like, what would telling the truth have been in this moment when I actually didn't know what to say? That's really unusual for me. I almost never don't know what to say because I can just be myself. And I, you know, the really honest thing would have been to say, I don't know what to say. That would have been the honest moment, you know, but I made shit up instead. And it was just the direction and, you know, this kind of thing. So Is this something you want to add, Micah, to this?
Well, what you were talking about when you were talking about back to what he was saying, the small scale. When you get down to that scale, what we're really talking about is being. Who are you being? Right? It's a level of beingness, because being changes, just like with the water, like the Dr. Emoto, I mean, from a technical reason, because water is actually a liquid crystal antenna, right? And so that's why life cannot exist without water, because for consciousness to incarnate coming from a non-physical place, it has to have an antenna. So the water, that's why water is sensitive like that. And what is life? Water. What are we? Water. So, you know, that, yeah. And then to your point about you were saying in the acting class, and I remember that. And, it forces you to then look at who are you being, because see, when we don't know what to do, it's because in a moment we've lost track with who we're being. And I think that came from you playing another character, you see? So you got to see, as I was being this other character, I got into a place that I didn't have the roadmap for in that moment. Right. And that shows you this is part of where the acting coaching stuff comes in, is to give people a chance of turning around in themselves a little bit and seeing another part of themselves that they're not used to, exposing them to that, to see, oh, wait, I'm normally this character, but you have to have the sense that I'm not that character anymore to know that you were.
That's dope. Yeah.
Like taking that the art of coaching, the art of acting, and then the coaching of acting, and putting it in this whole other context, really, of the hero's journey, because it's about growing, not about growing in fame and getting the things you want and having everybody love and approve of you, which is a very classic motive, unconscious motive that people have for going into, say, performing arts. And it's incredibly commit.
I'll do a similar exercise that is much simpler, and it's amazing that you do that, to try to pull this quality out of a person who's trying to be a practitioner of any discipline. But for my piano and vocal students, I began, for vocal, we have to learn how to sweep a range that our voice is comfortable in. And we find out that sweeping through a range that's really easy for us actually enhances the strength of our voice during performance, as opposed to this rigorous and all of that stuff. Same thing with playing the piano. There's an approach that you can do that you think will build your confidence, but confidence is not the goal. And that's what I am so pleased to share, that confidence is not the goal. Self-awareness is the goal. The measures that you play, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, those amount to your righteous wins. Righteous wins are wins that no one can take from you. Again, that has to do with self-awareness. Confidence is just, I got a cool freaking jacket on. Everybody likes it. But self-awareness is knowing who has the jacket on.
Ooh, I like that. That's amazing. Yeah, people often come to me, oh, I want confidence. Can you coach me to be confident? And at some point, I'll be letting them know that that's not a good goal. And that good feeling of confidence will come after you accomplish something, not before. That's and right. Then when you have it, what's it for? Then it's almost like some kind of badge. What do you need that for? Let that go. Just all KG. That's amazing. I think I'm gonna have to do some vocal lessons with you. That sounds amazing. Let's see. So I'd love to jump into the storyline. And this, might seem like, based on what we've talked about before or already, that this is somehow like a less deep element, but I'm suspecting not even close. Now, Roy, I've watched your fascination with, luckily there's so many interviews of you and a lot of opportunities to see your work. And I see you talk about the storyline and the melody, right? So you weren't satisfied to just hit drums and have the rhythm. You wanted the melody. And do you see the storyline and the melody as the same thing, or are they different?
No, I can relate it like that. The storyline and the melody, yeah, because a lot of times the melody is taking you through a timeline, and a storyline is taking you through a timeline as well. And in that timeline, the hero's journey sort of tells you where the cadences are going to hit. You know, it's kind of like, and if you know the cadences, then you can ritualize and celebrate the cadences. Like one cadence that was nice learning from Joseph Campbell was like, when you're a kid, you have a kid, the kid needs to do as it's told. If you say, don't put your hand on the stove, don't put your hand on the stove. You don't know why, you just do it. But as the kid grows up, it can't stay in that program. It has to be able to question, because then by somebody says, just give me your money. And I'm used to doing what I'm told. So here's my money. Here's my credit card, right? That program is changing when they're turning teenagers. And that's when a lot of times they become the most difficult, because it's like they don't want to listen to you anymore. See what I'm saying? And so it's like, once you understand that this is a cadence in the ritual of their development, then we can celebrate that, ritualize it, where sometimes they put them on a journey and let them figure it out. You know, they're riding the bicycle without training wheels, and it's not your job to go in there and save them from falling, you know. And so I think that melody, life is taking us through those melodies and these journeys and these action points. And without knowing if I'm really answering the question, I feel like that we're in that right now, us as artists, as humans. I feel like we're in an age where we're going to start to feel what it means to be human, because AI can copy humanity so much. So what is it to actually be human? And I feel like there's a challenge. We're in an age of a challenge where there is, I'm not going to say an antagonist, but there is another protagonist standing in front of you that's mirroring humans. And then the call is for humans to really go into what does it mean to be human, to create art, right? Art is something that where every great civilization, you can look at the art that's shaping that civilization. And so what is it that we're coming up with now? That's not just pushing a button and amalgamating everything that's happened before, but how do I feel about it right now? And I felt like when I was listening to Micah and KG, I was hearing the word authenticity, being authentic about something. And, sometimes you get more authentic when you learn. When I see the word learn, I hear the word earn. Learning is earning. You know what I mean? Like you're learning how to be, how to do. And authenticity was the emotion or the element of humanity that was greater than all the other emotions. When they did a study, there was a recent study about what was the strongest emotion coming from humans. They thought it would be hate, fear, love, sadness, but they said the biggest emotion emitting from the human was authenticity.
Amazing.
Right? And so authenticity is a big subject. It's like, you hear a person talking and all of a sudden they say something about their father and they just they just have a break. They can't even talk anymore because it hit them so hard that they can't even talk. And you can feel it. You don't have to ask what's wrong. That authenticity just goes like, whoa. So now I feel like, whoa, authenticity versus just hitting a button and let it figure it out for you. To me, it's like, oh, I just helped the butterfly get out and come out with pretty wings and everything. But at the end of the day, when you do it like that, the butterfly is not flying like it ought to fly. And I believe that's a metaphor for the journey that we're on and the challenge that we're facing right now. I think that it's kind of like humans are going to come up with something that we don't even know yet. Do you see what I'm saying? Like during Wagner's time was opera. The orchestra was enough, but he said, no, we're going to do drama and singing and the whole story. And Wagner was a mythologist. So we're going to tell more than one story. We're not going to start with the first story. We're going to start in the middle. We're going to see what I mean? It's like, how many ways can we do the hero's journey and come up with something so authentic that, like Steven Spielberg said, he saw his father watch a movie and it brought him to tears. And he said, my father didn't cry for nothing. Right, but he watched the movie and saw his father weeping. He said, man, I want to do that. If art can do that. So I believe there's a call now to us artists storytelling. Musicians on this journey, right? We're like protagonists who maybe not getting what we want, but we're getting what we need. And maybe this is what it's going to take to bring the art to the next place that we're supposed to bring it, to lead the next great society of humanity, because a great society is usually accompanied by great art. And I don't think that great art is going to come from a bunch of people pushing the button to get it. You know, it can help, but do you see what I'm saying? I think we're driving to something so authentic, man. Right? Jimi Hendrix, and everybody's trying to stop feedback, and he's riding the feedback. When he came up, he confounded everybody. You know, this is when the age when everything feedbacks. And so everybody's always trying to stop the feedback, and he's riding it like a violin. It's like, who is this guy? And it became, this is the authenticity I'm talking about. I think there's a call. We're on a hero's journey right now as far as artists, how we're gonna charge for the art, the value of art. Is it gonna be determined by the pricing of streaming, which is just getting less and lesser than a penny, right? Are we gonna let that define the value of art going forward? I'm not giving any answers. I'm just saying this is the journey that we're on. It's so rich and thick. And we're just coming out of a cocoon trying to figure out who was I and who am I now? And wow, I got wings I don't even know about. And whoa, we're talking about the hero's journey. Okay, I'm the hero too. What am I supposed to do now with the music, with the art? What stories are we going to tell now? You know what I mean? And so let me just, the last thing I want to remember is Joseph Campbell was saying, he thinks the story of the future is going to be one that brings us all together. Instead of like the hero's journey, the hero with 1,000 faces, retelling the hero's journey so many different ways. But there was going to be a way of telling the story that brings all the opposing forces together. And so this is where I think we are now. You know what I mean? Like on this hero's journey unfolding. And it's rich. It's rich and it's very challenging too. There's a lot of jobs disappearing because artificial intelligence can copy what went before. You know what I mean? But everything is not about what went before too. It's about what we're getting ready to do. So that's my two.
Amazing. Now that's at least $20, right? 2 cents. That's so amazing. Do you guys want to add anything to that?
I mean, just because you mentioned melody and the story and how we can kind of coalesce these features into the hero's journey. It's something that I use to teach all of my students when we encounter theory, and I'm not trying to brag on my own system because it's really rudimentary, and I'm using the same music principles that they taught at the Royal Academy thousands of years ago, hundreds of years ago rather. But these things, if we learn them in a certain way, if we can internalize that a single note is a melody, 2 notes is a harmony, 3 notes create a chord. And then if we're able to just fill these bags, just those 3, what else can we say about a melody? Those are those micro things. Those are those expansive. What else can I understand about harmony? How can I expand my bag of harmony? And how can I use those 2 things together? What do I know about chords? How do I understand that it's linking multiple harmonies? How is that affecting a chord, which creates a function, right? And a chord progression, which creates a feeling. If I learn these things that way, and I understand that this is how the music that I love already has influenced me and has behaved on me, then that does allow me to do what I've enjoyed learning about as I begin to present what the difference is in the Black gospel musician's experience. And if I can just take a small little tangent, because I found the common denominator. It's simply participation.
Yes.
If you go into a symphony hall and someone hits the tick, 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 and everybody, including the ushers, has to be quiet, that's not exactly encouraging participation. But when you pull up to the parking lot of so-and-so Church of God in Christ in Memphis, Tennessee, where I'm from, and when you get out of the car, you hear and feel something urging you to participate. Well, that is clearly one of the differences that has made the experience so rich and able to just ingest musical concepts. They don't change, but to take them in a way that's so meaningful. And I feel like we're at, as Roy was saying, we're at this point where authenticity does have to reign. No one, I got this from another author, and this is me distilling their work a little bit, but I don't want to give them too much praise. But they're amazing, but there is no manifestation without authenticity. None. You will not be able to project a single thing and expect an outcome without that authenticity. And so it's because we can begin there, and we can begin to internalize these lessons about musical things, about acting, and about human. Because when I study acting, I look, directing is one of the most daunting jobs I've ever even conceived of in life. Like, I'm so terrified of it that I haven't even gone into it as a foray. Like, I just love great directors so much. I highly venerate what they do, especially when they tell stories well. And so being able to have courage is a part of it. Authenticity, courage, and applying yourself to real principles. We're talking about music. These rules haven't changed. We're talking about acting and portraying humanity. These things haven't changed from the dawning of our civilization. We just have to understand where we are, like you explained, where we are in this story. Where are we in the story of civilization? Now we tell the story with buttons and clicks. Now we tell the story with less authenticity. You know, we got to learn how to read through that. And so I really, I didn't want to get lost in the point, but as far as learning how the melody of your life can weave through chord progressions of work, career, family, love interests, so on and so forth, learning how your melody is crafted, how you as a melody can be crafted, begins to lift all of this stuff off of the page. And if there's any, you know, if there are people who are outside of the musical sphere that don't work in this, that don't apply the study of it, you can't be excluded, because as soon as you turn on a song that you love, all of these things that we've been discussing here this fine hour are going to behave on you.
Oh, there you go. That's amazing. Yeah, I remember something, Roy, you were talking on an interview. It's like standing on the shoulders of giants, and not just for their skills, but for their courage. Because getting out there and doing something new, you have no idea what's going to happen. Mike and I are sort of in that situation, taking, you know, an older tradition and making something brand new of it. And but I mean, participation is the whole thing. I saw a lot of performance as a child. That's where I first ran into FutureMan, right, at Winnipeg Folk Festival, and I'm just taking it in, and I'm like, this is.
You had to participate.
I was thinking to myself, this is great, but why isn't everybody singing? What's wrong with them? You know, and if I would sing, some people would look at me like, "What are you doing? What's wrong with you?" and stuff. And yeah, Mike, is there anything you want to add to all of that? The storyline, the bringing this point, like the AI as an antagonist in the hero's journey, perfect. With the same authenticity. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no, yeah. I mean, Darth Vader was almost all AI, right? And he had become fully mechanical, and almost. And so there's a lot to that. I would say what I would do is maybe offer, because you were just talking to KG about some people may not understand for music. Like, I understand what you're saying, talking about, you know, chord progressions in life. How does that tie into the hero's journey? Because it's the same geometry, right? Just formatted slightly differently because it's a different medium. So the common denominator between music and storytelling, right? Books, movies, right? Is they're time-based. Okay, they're time-based mediums. A sculpture, a painting, a photograph, right? Those are static. Okay, and so those are meant to be experienced a certain way, but story, just like music, can only be experienced in time, right? And so it's the structure through time that makes it what it is. You see, so when he's talking about the chord progression in life, it's the shape of the chord progression that evokes the feeling, right? And you either understand through your authenticity, you can resonate with that, and then it can imbue, and you can create, like you were saying, your students, you know, if they don't learn to be authentic, nothing's going to come out, right? Right, nothing of value, but that requires risk. Authenticity always comes at the cost of our pride, our vanity, right? We can risk everything. We can look like a fool, right? Or we can make something nobody likes. But anyway, to tie it into the hero's journey, here's what I would say. If we think about it, like, so here it is in music. In music, if I go dut 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 dut, that's not music, right? You would say that's a noise. But if I go dut 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 dut, I've got Beethoven fifth, right? The structure changed, right? A slight modification, and now we have, one of the great symphonies. And so the same thing happens in storytelling. The matrix is different. See, in music, it's rhythm. So rhythm, meaning the relation of two notes, is the matrix of what music is. But what's the matrix of story? A lot of people don't know this. The matrix of story is conflict, right? It's notes of conflict arranged meaningfully in time create a superstructure. So that goes back into the fractal, hologram, like Roy was kind of hinting at the beginning, right? Whoa, we're jumping in the story here in Act 4, right? Or the fourth of the original Star Wars, which were 9, right? And because when you understand the fractal nature, just like a musician can jump into a song and fit in, right? Jam in with some people, they start to see and sense the structure, right? Oh, I see where we're at in the story, right? So they can do the same thing. And then how I think that can relate to everything we talked about so far is if you accept that conflict is the matrix of story, if you are going to be on the hero's journey yourself, then what becomes inevitable? The conflict. And then how you react to it changes your participation in the story, whether or not the structure has meaning or not. Because what narrative can give us is meaning. And meaning can only come from that. That's why you were talking about, I think it was Spielberg's dad crying, right? Like when we get a sense of meaning, it breaks us open into a higher plane. Like with our real self, our essence gets exposed. That happens in music too, right? But so I was just trying to relate them together, like where I actually think the geometry is the same.
That's amazing, Micah. Wow.
It is amazing.
Tied that all together. I'm sorry you're having trouble, Roy. I assume you can hear us well now?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's like every time a call comes in, it knocks my, I'm on my phone. And
right.
You know what, Roy? Is it iPhone?
Yeah.
I had the same problem with her when I was using I used to, next time or go to, do not disturb mode. Do you know how to turn that on?
No.
It's like if you take your, it's in your settings, like here if you take your phone and you do that thing and you'll see like a little moon button that says, you press it, it says do not disturb, and it'll keep you, because I've had the same issue with podcasts like that. It'll knock you right out.
Okay, I'm gonna do that now.
Yeah, give that a try, Roy. Yeah,
okay, I see the airplane. Oh, it says, I see a moon and it says focus next to it.
Yeah, press that and it'll say like do not disturb or something. It's a moon.
Do not disturb. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, excellent.
Oh, good. That'd be awesome, because I imagine that's annoying to.
That's gonna take away our conflict, though.
You're right.
So now we got to respond. We got to respond and react to it. That's great.
So good.
Yeah.
That's
that
amazing.
Was so well said, though. I like that about the conflict, because in different martial arts, you learn how to use the momentum of conflict and shape it rather than just meeting it head on. Like it's coming at you and you can shape it. And so the idea that we can shape these tensions and conflicts and find, different resolutions is very inspiring.
Yeah, and just to emphasize what you guys have already said, it's necessary, right? If we came across any work of art that didn't hold tension at some level, then you would just look, what is that? That's more AI, right? Like when you listen to that stuff, I've heard the odd song, I'll get halfway through. At first you're like, oh yeah, that's a good groove, or that's a good something, or a melody or something. And then it just goes like, ugh, there's something, even if they've mechanically built in the conflict, which is exactly what they do now, right? It's just mimicry. It's not an original, authentic creation. It's a copy. Copy is never that original. So,
Michael, you cracked something open with that conflict thing, man. That being the matrix for storytelling, just as rhythm is the matrix for music. You just broke something open with that, brother. That is powerful. I can see so many useful ways to see that in our journey as people and our journey as creatives, which is something that I'm highly interested. I don't know why I'm attracted, lit up to help creatives. That's not everybody's journey. A lot of people's journey is to be that luminary creative. But I know on my journey to be that luminary creative, there was such an amazing, that's why I go by Green Moses. I turned aside because I saw a great non-consuming fire that's burning and burning and burning. And it was that music, and it was that instruction and that understanding and that giving back. As Stephen Pressfield says, that's what we're supposed to do, is after we slay the dragon, bring the elixir back. What does that look like when I bring the elixir back? And so I just kind of got trapped in that part of my own story, and accepting the conflicts that have created my story, accepting the rhythm that has created these chord changes that I've become a melody through. Like, man, that is so incredible. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and echoing that on the quantum level, taking rhythm and keep down to the quantum, where rhythm keeps speeding up, becoming the mother of the tone. The tone is just a rhythm that has sped up, and now it sounds like this pitch. Now it sounds like this pitch, just different rhythms that we're, addressing these pitches like that. Keep speeding up. Now it leaves sound and becomes light. It's something about this invisible rhythm that seems like it's kind of like this great mother. But what you said about conflict was very key, that I thought when I look back to music as a hero's journey blueprint, that has a blueprint for how we can look at it, and look at the conflict of all the different instruments. So for the audience out there, if I hit the C on a piano and I want the clarinet to play the same note, I can't write a C for the clarinet. I got to write a D. I got to write a step up. There's a conflict that I got to understand to make it not a conflict. If I want to do the same note, I want a saxophone to play the same C, I have to write an A. I got to write 6 notes up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I got to write C, D, E, F, G, A. I got to write an A to get the saxophone to play C. You see how we're navigating conflicts here? This is laws of transposition in music. And I feel like music is always kind of showing us how we navigate life. If this is so for music and instruments, how much so for people and cultures? See what I'm saying? Like, we got different modes, we got different moods, we got different languages. And a lot of times religions and politics and democracies and this theocracy and this is so stuck on their way, they're not seeing the whole rainbow. There's a whole bunch of other different ways that fit together. How do I get them when I hit this note and I say the, for them to understand that I'm saying the? They say the a different way, right? And so I think that navigating conflicts is a master class. That's just a master class. We're navigating conflicts, man. See what I'm saying? Look on the news. They're navigating conflicts. How well are we doing at it? Maybe there's an artist that can help to navigate that. You know what I mean? The way we navigate the orchestra. And my thesis is a lot of history is navigating conflicts because people look different. They're different colors. They're different sexes. So they don't get the same jobs. They don't get the same pay. They get treated like that. If they audition for the orchestra, and they find out it's a woman, they probably not going to get the job. We're navigating conflicts, man. But it's like, look at all the conflicts that make up the orchestra. The difference of the French horn is not supposed to sound like the trumpet. It's not supposed to sound like the drum. It's not supposed to sound like the flute. And all of these conflicts is what makes up the symphony. And I just believe that music is just like the hero's journey, man. It's laying out blueprints for us to kind of emulate and learn from. Because it's conflict, it's something that we can master. You know what I mean? We can master the art of transposition, the art of conflict. You know what I mean? The war of art. You know what I mean? Not the art of war, but the war of art is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boom. Amazing. So good. Yeah, it starts to point out a certain potential responsibility that artists have that they haven't traditionally taken by any means. But I think you guys are all breaking ground in this exact arena where it goes so much deeper, and you're aware of the influence that you have, right? That's what happens. People look up to you. They want to hear what you have to say. And then how do you use that vehicle and harness the conflict rather than, because what do the powers that ought not to be want? They want the conflict. They want the division. They want people to go, oh, you're not me. I'm over here and doing my thing. And artists traditionally have been allowed to just satisfy themselves. How many artists have you heard go, well, I don't even think about the audience? And part of me goes like, what the heck? Then why bother? Just sit in your living room and do it for yourself. Why even bother engaging an audience? And but if you go all the way to the audience and you lose yourself in it, then that might not be authentic either. You're just, what do they want? What do they want? I'm going to go and do what they want. So is it something in between? Or, is it, I often don't opt for the balance thing. It's both and not some middle ground.
Yeah.
Authenticity, what KG was saying, if you do it authentically, then you did the right thing by you, then you can focus on what they need.
Nice.
Right. Yeah, there's no one simple answer. With authenticity, it might look like you don't care, but that might be a tactic of, yeah.
Yeah.
But with this whole subject that we're talking about, I just think a lot of times you can just ask the question, what if in Farm Aid, I think it was Willie Nelson or Bob Dylan, I think said they were doing Live Aid, Feed the World, Feed Africa. And he said, man, what if we did this for our farmers, man? That would be real cool, right? He just asked a question, you know what I mean? He didn't say we got to do that, but Farm Aid is still going off of that one thing. So I'm saying that to say, what if politicians had a department of art? You know what I mean? Is there one?
No.
A department of art, man. You know what I'm saying? We played a thing with the Fleptones where they brought us to play for all of these different embassies and stuff like that. And they said the thing is they used art as an excuse to invite the other embassies to come visit. Otherwise, they're just too busy. We're never going to meet. But the art was a magnet enough for them to come to me. So what if there was a department of art? What would that look like? You see what I'm saying? Because it's like when we go to the culinary arts and food, that's when you can see that you don't want everything to taste like McDonald's. You know what I mean? Like, man, I'm feeling some Chinese food, Indian food, Ethiopian food. You see what I mean? The differences of the instruments and the richness of the orchestra is off of these differences, and art can make you feel it. We're not talking democracies and this and these and that and that. We're just talking about feeling and authentic experience, man. So, I may be wrong. Maybe there is a department of art, but there's not one that I know of. And I think that it would be very inspiring.
Well, they do exactly the opposite, Roy. They say in Canada here, the arts have been eaten alive by the public institutions. Yeah. And then they're engineered, and it's all about the grants, and then it's just an approval game. Like, oh, I'm gonna do the best for this team, so I deserve all this money. And then a lot of the real art ends up completely not seen and neglected and not chosen because we've got this structure of that. Now, this leads me to talk about something that Gurdjieff would call objective art. I think I brought this up, and I didn't do a lot of justice to it when we talked the first time, Roy. But this is a different level, and I do intuitively feel like you're all more at this level than the art for its own kind of sake, or the audience, all the things that we're more used to. So, Micah, do you want to talk about objective art so I don't mangle that?
I mean, I could say simply that the idea was that the higher level initiates, the mystery schools, that they had tradition of passing down some of the technique of objective art. And the difference between objective art and subjective art was that objective art had the exact same effect on everybody the same way. And so like I told you, almost in a way, it's kind of like a technology, but and there are not many examples left. But some architecture was like that. There were, in fact, pieces of music we talked about, like some of the cathedrals that have the organs were completely designed and calibrated a very specific way to have a physical effect on the people inside. And that were ancient, these were ancient techniques that were protected, that you had to be initiated into. You couldn't just go get a book and learn about it. So that's what he meant. There was a sculpture, part of the Taj Mahal was considered, he considered that an objective work of art. But it's like when it actually has impact, directly. And kind of like, not that this is the same, but it is like a good visual example. I'm sure you guys know Roy and KG, sonic shaping. Like, why is the word slipping me right now? Where you actually create fractal patterns but only certain tones do it, right?
Cymatic.
What's that?
You talk cymatics.
Cymatics. Thank you. Yeah, it was the word.
Yeah, they do it with sand and water. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can see, if I hit this the right way, it makes this pattern. Otherwise, it just vibrates and does nothing. And that's more aligned with objective art, is knowing where those patterns are and how to push those buttons, right? Yes. And that was what was meant by it. But you had to know, right, how to do it.
Right. And that's like, now we're talking back to the melody too, how melody massage experience.
Can you say the last?
Go ahead.
It just cut out a little bit. Roy, can you finish?
I was saying, he was talking about knowing what those tones are and how to make it happen gets back to a masterful melody that might be crafted to do that kind of thing, to massage this other experience that's happening unbeknownst to your consciousness, massaging cymatics into the ether of our experience. We're back to another level of a melody master that's probably inside of a lot of ritual hymns, cadences, pitches, why we sing da 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 da. There's probably magic to it, and the bells that they hit.
That's right.
Yeah, there's drama that's going on probably on multiple levels. That what Micah just said, that's touching on it.
If I can speak to what Roy just said about and take it to that quantum level, because there were, and this ties them together, but they were such studied practitioners that if they did not have a building or a design that could facilitate a 32-foot long pipe to create a certain tone for the organ, these brothers and sisters maybe in the background, but they figured out how to use harmonic sequencing. Who had heard of such a thing? The imperceptible guided them to cut the pipe to a certain length to create the illusion of the signature of a sound. Just like when you hear my phone, even through this broadcast, you don't hear my voice. I'm a baritone. There's nothing about any of our setups that could convey the baritoneness of my voice. However, through harmonic sequencing and how it works on a microtonal level, quantum level inside of our brains and ears, that's KG speaking, even though you don't necessarily hear me. And so that it's so amazing that we keep getting to, there is a practice, there is a study, there is a discipline, and there are adherents. And those of us who are adherents, I think it is a time, it's an inflection point even for us, Beth, to start being vocal and to start putting that vibration of the solution out into cymatically into the universe, if I could say.
Singing my song right there, KG. That's amazing. Yeah, exactly. That was one of the things that's really inspired me to do these podcasts and courses inside what I consider to be, the truth community, or whatever bad name it has, is that everyone wants to talk about the lies and what's wrong and this problem and that way they're trying to kill us and all of this kind of stuff. And I'm like, well, but what now? What do we do? What is the solution? What could we create And this is what I intuitively know inside myself without even, I'm just learning, but I already know this, that if people learn to create on their hero's journey, that is the solution. Even if there was just a critical mass number of people who did it, it would affect everybody, like the monkeys washing the sweet potatoes you talked about last time, Roy.
Yep, exactly. And I think that, with great art, a lot of times, like we just talked about cymatics. So we're playing music and we have no idea that when we're hitting tones, that it's drawing pictures at the same time. So a lot of times the main part of a story is unspoken. And so let's go back to the hero's journey. A lot of times if we're doing a class on the hero's journey, it's like, man, let's look at all the stories where the main point is never stated. See what I'm saying? So let's take a movie like V for Vendetta. The point that's never stated in V for Vendetta is that V and Evie are the same person, the same psyche. We watched the whole movie and that's never stated. See what I'm saying? People haven't seen V for Vendetta. It's like, she's out there, and then all of a sudden she gets in trouble, and this guy with the hat on and talking in Shakespearean tone and it's basically an alter ego, but it's never stated. If we take Star Wars, I like this one, right? And people may disagree, but in the Phantom Menace is like, it's obviously the Phantom Menace is the young Darth Vader. It's the young Darth Vader. It's the young Darth Vader. That's obvious. But what's not so obvious is that the Emperor, who's this little weaselly little emperor, is a little senator, is the Emperor. They're the same person. Right? He's in the Senate, so in trouble, man. He's just, he's real skinny. He's like the wimp. But he's the Emperor. Yoda's sitting right next to him and doesn't know it's him. There's the Phantom Menace right there, but it's never stated. Right? And when I saw it, I was like, oh, Senator Palpatine is the Emperor. So now I'm looking at the credits. I'm waiting to see who's playing the Emperor and who's playing Senator Palpatine, and they don't state it. You see what I'm saying? So sometimes the greatest works of art leave out the thing and just hit it with you. You just got hit with an uppercut, but you don't even know. See what I'm saying? It's like that's art where you're doing like nature. It doesn't spell it out. It just makes you feel it. And so I'm saying that to say, all that to say, is a lot of times when people see stuff that's going wrong, politics, this is wrong, that, and you just want to shout out, almost like vomit out your complaint and your frustration or something. But sometimes there's an art in saying things sideways. This is why Shakespeare doesn't talk to you straight. Shakespeare talks to you like this because he's saying something, and if you learn how to code it, he's saying something at the same time in code, and then he's speaking in parables. And this is the idea, like there's a story where Jesus is talking to the disciples, and they say, "Can you explain this? What you're talking about?" And he says, "The thing that I'm saying is so simple that a child could do it, but I'm saying it in such a way that you won't understand it." I'm saying it in such a way that you won't understand it. I was just like, oh man, right? Sometimes you don't spoon feed the answer. You say it in such a way that they can arrive at the answer. Yeah. You're not pouring it down someone's throat. This is art. Do you see what I'm saying? And so sometimes the greatest works of art, there's a mystery so profound that's never stated.
Yeah.
When you hit a tone, it's never stated that there's a picture and a design principle associated to music. Nowhere in any music class have you ever learned that there is a drawing side of music. The main point, you know what I'm saying? So now everybody wants to cut it. We're going to cut the arts, right? Because you don't know half of the subject. You can't cut the arts. You just don't know that you can't cut it. See what I'm saying? So anyway, I'm just saying that to confound the subject a little bit.
No, it's fantastic. Micah, go ahead.
Oh, well, yeah. Have you heard the saying, a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still?
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes.
And because we have to learn that way. That's why Jesus only spoke in parables, because that's esoteric teaching. All esotericism because the value comes from you arriving at it at the right time when you're right, because that comes back to the structure. There's the right time for you see for the French horn to come in, right? Yeah.
You said that so good. I got to get a copy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So well. Yeah.
I've been pulling quotes from Micah. I've got a big long list of them. Actually, they're amazing.
Yeah.
I want to throw.
It's respecting everyone's journey, because everyone's not going to arrive at their answer at the same time. So you say it in such a way, that invites them to that journey, to the next.
I'm sorry, you drew me into that, man. This is since 2006 when I taught my first gospel music workshop to a choir. Traveled overseas to Seoul, Korea, with my then pastor, and I was a very prayerful individual. I was teaching Sunday school, a lot more devout than I am now, but I'm a lot more spiritual and present and accountable and authentic than I was at that time. But I asked prayerfully, what is it that I can say? What's the first thing that I should say to these people across the world about what it is I came to do? And the two things that I got, and I use them to today, when I meet a student, when I meet people that I have to work with, I say, it's two things, especially if I have to lead, say it's two things you need to know about me. I respect the journey that brought you here today. I don't know what it is, but I respect that journey. And the second thing is, I'm gonna keep the main thing, and you can hold my feet to the fire to do that.
That's wow, amazing. Sorry for the interruption. We're getting a little attack on Rumble there, some Islam attack or something like that. Apologize, but that's amazing. I was going to throw a little pitch in. When I was thinking about all you guys last night and questions I wanted to ask you, and considering the work that I mostly do in coaching, so coaching's become everybody's a coach, everyone's a life coach and stuff like that. But the way that I do it is exactly what you're talking about here. I don't tell people anything. Oh, you're like this, you're doing that, here's your pattern. Now I might see all of that. And I've learned over the years, in fact, I get much more sensitive to seeing it. But what I would rather practice is suspending any conclusion about it. First of all, I step out of any certainty, like, oh, I know what their problem is, like this. And then I don't care how long it takes, 1 session, 2 sessions, 2 years, 7 years. They're going to see from their own side. They're going to see it. And when they see it, it's going to go off like a firecracker with the power of it, right? So I'm a big proponent. This is how I train my coaches, not to tell people anything, but to ask and to be the guide. This is something that the teachers are one thing, and I want to go deeper into this because this is a big subject you guys have in common. That it's really the opening that the teacher can make. Yes, say, Roy, you have incredible knowledge, and I've seen you work with your students. There's lots of beautiful clips on your Facebook about just teaching a little riff and watching the transmission that's taking place, and you are informing. You're giving some details. But there's something entirely different going on there. And is there anything more you guys want to say about your life as teachers? Already, KG, you talked about bringing the elixir home, right? This is also something I never have to teach anyone, that they heal to a degree and they immediately want to give back. If I sat and I told them, oh, no, you should turn around and do good for others in some way that you could have had done for you at some point, but didn't. Never, ever I'm going to tell them that. But they always concluded on their own. Did I say it all, or is there anything more there?
That's incredibly summarizing, if it isn't all.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just such a great statement about it with people with their art. Sometimes you feel the need to explain it all and to express it all out, and like, this is it. But there's a way to make this is it be the person saying this is it. You just set up the space for them to arrive at this is it, without saying it out. And so when I mentioned the movies, there's so many movies that are out there where the main point hasn't been stated, and you can see how enjoyable that is. Arriving at what do you think it was? It's like you mentioned, KG, you mentioned Sinners. No, you didn't mention Sinners. I thought Sinners because Ryan Coogler in the movie Sinners is telling a whole separate story, different than the one that we're looking at on the screen, you know. And the main thing has not been said, but the movie is so enjoyable, and you almost don't know why. You don't even know why it's so enjoyable. But if we have a talk about the hero's journey, I'll show you what Ryan Coogler is doing. It's so deep. It's just so
Those
deep.
beats of conflict. That thing is
It
powerful.
is. Just to give you a hint without giving it away, if you know the story, The Life of Pi. The Life of Pi is where, you know, a ship went down and the animals escaped, and they were just, everything was going crazy. And when he told the story, he said, yeah, I can tell the story two ways. You know, the animals might be animals, or the animals could be people. You know what I mean? So the hyena was the cook. There's a double scenario that's never spelled out. And so I'm not gonna say anymore. I've already said too much. So anyway, it's great to make a work of art that has a womb in it, that caresses people and pulls people in to the story and the essence of discovery that's inside of that. And Shakespeare is a very good example of that. Michael Jackson's Thriller. The way that they use rhythm in the reciting of who's the guy that says
Vincent Price.
Vincent Price. Yeah, the rhythm and the meter that they're using is Edgar Allan Poe. Dude, the way they do it, it's so invisible, but it knocks you straight between the head. You didn't even know. You got hit by a smooth criminal, man. You didn't even know. Right? It's just so masterful, so invisible, the way they use rhythm. So that maybe is what I would add, is that sometimes with the power of art, you can say things in such a way that touches it deeper than words and explanations would do it, you know. And with that, you know, I just think about the power of art has the heaviest microphone. If you think about Mozart being remembered so many years later, and you don't even know who the president, you don't know who the king was, and if you know who it was, you don't care. You don't celebrate their birthday every year. But that artist, that work of art, those works of art are being respected and celebrated to this day, to where when you get that authenticity and you get that word, that work, that piece that you send out in the sea of time, it's, Sir Francis Bacon said, it's like an arrow going through the sea of time. But unlike a natural arrow, this arrow that you send can gain in strength as it travels through the sea of time. Not going to go down and hit the ground, but stronger. So you listen to Mozart, what he wrote 3 years old, he didn't even write it. His sister wrote it because he was too young to write it. The sister was the talented one. But what he came up with is even stronger today than it was then. And this is what hero's journey, music, what we're talking about, I think, because music is on that journey, and music is the soundtrack of the journey, right? And there's a lot of room.
Exactly. That's beautiful. It makes me think of the time of the culture that we're in, and the world's passed through many wars. Gurdjieff's life, for example, was very much in the context of wars and moving around and avoiding conflict and, you know, probably troubleshooting way beyond what we can imagine right now. But it makes me realize how that, you know, and Mike, I've heard you talk about this, where there is a natural cycle of that, you know, like the earth actually, is it the earth requires conflict. There's an energetic food system going on in the exchange of energies that we're only aware of what we feed on. We're not aware of what feeds on us exactly. But so we're in this time that creates a lot of resistance. This, in a way, we're in the resistance over here on this channel, right? That's what I've been doing here. And, you know, that's the people that are around. They don't tend to drink Kool-Aid so much, and they're, you know, shout out to everybody in the chat. I appreciate your comments. We're going to look at them definitely. I just wanted to be able to pay attention. But that resistance becomes a very, very powerful movement for I want to say mystery school, that which has to go under the radar in order to not be censored, even though I get censored anyway, even though I think this is all couched in some other kind of material, but then it becomes a real, that resistance that we're feeling to this tyrannical takeover and push towards AI and mechanistic, not just societies, but beings inside of ourselves, maybe married with technology. And here, this becomes a power for us and a power for the artist. And again, back to responsibility with having that ability to speak to people beyond the, like, you shouldn't listen to the government when they tell you to do this or that. Like, it's like, I do agree, but that's not going to transform. Yeah.
Very well said.
Thank you. Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. I really love this. So teaching, of course, goes directly along with, that's a form of mentorship. Many teachers are not mentors, but I'm getting the sense that you guys all are much more on the mentor side of things. And we ourselves needed mentors on the path, right? You literally couldn't go. You did such a great job describing the Fibonacci sequence last time, Roy. Like, you really got it. That's amazing. Honestly, I've never really been able to.
I did too. I watched it, and I use the Fibonacci in trading. I've never had it broken down to such a core level, like I understood it after that conversation. That was amazing.
Sure.
Exactly. I have to remark on something you sent me after about when in the East Indian style, they've expanded the Fibonacci to quite a degree and are singing through the whole thing, which is kind of amazing that they've been able to decode to that level. I'll have to share that out with you guys.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. And then so they're in some of those big leaps on the, where you need extra force. And you need some power. You're going to have to gain some energy, and it can take time to get there. Then that, the mentor can come and provide this. Gurdjieff would call it a shock. It provides a shock. Shock is not necessarily just a negative thing. And I so hear that in Roy's drums and watching you teach the sequence of the Fibonacci to actually play that. And you're like, and here comes you can feel the building of the energy. So can you guys talk about on that, what, maybe starting with what mentors came into your lives to give you the shock that provided the energy?
Wow.
I can go first, man. It'll be really simple. Mrs. Sally Hall, my B3 instructor, she still living in Lawton, Oklahoma. She had a double major in music and a triple minor in music from Langston Hughes University in Oklahoma. And she taught all of the local maestros. Excuse me. She taught all of the local maestros in my area. She is who I went to in 2004. And you talk about being transparent and authentic. I showed my students this book in a PDF form that I had to go to her and ask, like, I don't know what I'm doing with music theory. And so I need to know better what it is that's going on. And she gave me this book in 2004, and she wrote me a cute little note on it. And I shared a picture of that in the PDF of things that I share with my students still to this day, because she decoded music for me and decoded that instrument back there, the Hammond B3, in a way that I wanted to know. I'd gone to services and watch people play and rock the house and, all the shouting and all of that. And she demystified it for me. But one of the just indispensable qualities about Miss Sally Hall is that she was an erudite Bible scholar. So I watched her cut children, cut teenagers, cut adults. If you had something to say from the Bible and it was not there, she would kindly tell you, baby, if you found that in the Bible, show it to me and I'll eat the page. She was that erudite scholar. And so having that kind of pressure I eventually took over the music ministry at my church from her after she served for 60 years. And so you can imagine the immense responsibility that I felt, especially when every Sunday she would sit in the front and say, Kery, don't make me listen to no bad music. So I want to give her the props, along with another mentor that she taught, Teddy Farmer, who's passed away. It was a great mentor of mine, who let me sit on the organ beside him to learn the skill that I have.
Fantastic. That's beautiful. And what about the courage side of the thing? That it's knowledge is one thing, but actually, you know, what was there somebody who came into your life that either reflected that or is an example of that?
You're gonna think this is funny, but it was Michael Jordan. I was a high school athlete, and I'm sorry with the way that, you know, my media influences were set up at that time. He just embodied so much, and now I know it is integration, but to me then it was just absolute perfection. Style and the grace in the air after he had already taken off, the decision making, you know, different intricacies about being a basketball player and being an athlete in general. That's where I derived a lot of my go get it and like the courage of like, no, I got this, I can do this, I can keep on, you know. Beautiful.
That's great. I love it. Wherever it comes from, it doesn't matter, right? That just had the effect. Anything you want to add, Roy, about the mentors that showed up on your path?
You know, I would add, there's a bunch of mentors that I could add that's in my timeline and everything like that. Like, you know, even somebody like Miles Davis, you know, his drummers, Tony Williams, all of that. But just for the sake of this conversation, to let people know, you can also, I have mentors that are not of my time. Like, I'm really into Sir Francis Bacon. I'm really into LeComte Saint-Germain, one of the most enigmatic figures of all time. See what I'm saying? Like, I'm into these guys, right? And, you know, a spiritual lady told me I needed to pay attention to LeComte Saint-Germain. Like, there was a connection. But I'm into that, right? And just because we're talking about the hero's journey, when we talk about storytelling, if we talk about Sir Francis Bacon, he's known as the father of inductive science. He started speculative Freemasonry that people practice now, where you don't have to actually know how to make buildings. It's all speculative, and secret handshakes and, you know, different stuff like that. It's speculative. It's not the Masons that know how to make the great cathedrals and all of that. But Bacon started that for a certain reason. And now if we get into the Shakespeare code, where it starts pointing to the idea that Bacon is behind a whole group of writers that's writing these plays in order to elevate humanity, to elevate the language of the English language, to bring it up to the level of Latin. And that he's somehow one of the hidden hands behind the person that we know of as Shakespeare. Right? I know I'm going too far in this conversation, but I just want to take it off for a minute because we're going into art squared. Here you have a person that's known for science, and in Shakespeare, that's ultimate story. And if that can be the same person, it's like, wow. See what I mean? It's like, wow, there's a way that you can make art so high that it can elevate a whole language. So let me just leave one more idea, inspiration. In the Shakespearean plays are over 200 new words that were introduced in those plays. And 200 something phrases that we still use today. Fit as a fiddle. To thine own self be true. There's over 200 of them. So the inspiration for me as an artist is like, okay, if I'm going to write a story, can I make up 4 new words? You know what I mean? Can I make up 1 or 2? Not just 200. You know what I mean? There's something about a work of art that can lift the whole tide. Like let's say the rising tide lifts all ships. And a lot of times that rising tide can be works of art, man. All great civilizations are accompanied with art. So I'm just saying it to show people that you can have inspirations from people that are not even of your timeline. But like Kery, there are teachers and mentors who, without their guiding hand, I wouldn't be where I am today. There was a guiding hand. Even in college, I had an English teacher said I was good at writing. I didn't know I was good at writing. but she did a guiding hand. I didn't have time because I was in band and stuff, so she taught me privately. These things that shape you along the way is the mentors in your life. And when you talk about us being mentors, I think of mentors almost like we're gardeners, right? We got seeds, right? Somebody gave me a bunch of seeds and I'm planting these seeds and I'm watering, taking care of the seeds. Every student that we're talking to or we're teaching or mentoring is like a seed. They got roots in them that's like an oak tree. You don't know how big they're gonna come. My job is just to water them, nurture their ideas, boom, encourage. So the mentor is a gardener. You know what I mean? Like the Bible said, the greatest of you is the servant. We're serving something that's here to grow. And maybe we can provide some of the nutrients that they need. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, maybe if it's a kid, they might want to make hostess ho-hos or something. You know what I mean? Or fast food all day. You're like, yo, bro, you know what I mean? You might not want to eat that. You might want to know about this. You know what I mean? You might want to know about moringa. You never heard of it, but you study it. That one tree can change the world. See what I mean? So anyway, that's the fun of it. I took it off of just this timeline, but just like Kery said, there are people who put their hand on you, and without that hand, I wouldn't be where I am today. And so just there's a lot of gratitude for me to just be able to sit here, invent new instruments, to do this, win awards. There's a long list of people that it wouldn't have happened without those mentors and those guiding hands. So
that's beautiful. What a great answer. Yeah, and when you first said off the timeline, I went to other dimensions in my mind, which could also possibly be true, which is why I'm going to turn it over to Micah now, because you might have something to add there. No pressure, but yeah, in terms of mentors along the path for you and people that not only gave the skills, but told you to keep going in some way or another, maybe without even spelling that out. It just became part of that. Like, oh yeah, must.
Yeah, there are a few, and sometimes they give you those shocks. I think it kind of comes down to what part, what chapter of life, what part, what lesson. Perhaps I would say the earliest like mentor shock type experience where somebody affected you would just be as simple as my grandfather that was like my hero when he told me he believed in me, and no one had ever told me that before, and he was proud of me, and it was like dumbfounding to me, but it created like I trembled, sometimes I tremble now thinking about it because it just came out of nowhere, and I saw him as like a superhero, and yeah, but it's a seed that maybe you just keep. He like Roy was saying, you don't know when they're going to need it, right? It can germinate many years down the road, but because life has provided an immense amount of shocks for me, and humbling, and and sometimes those little seeds that are there at that point, they carry you through something. So, and then professionally, I've had it's different ones at different points in time, but yeah, amazing. Yeah, some of us signed up for the big shocks. I feel like I don't want to make it a contest or anything, but that's been definitely part of my path. And I think everybody that has used those shocks, which I know, Micah, you totally have, for not only your own growth, but for the giving back, right? That others should have the opportunity to grow. You can't make them grow. You can't, doesn't matter how much you want that. I think it was just yesterday you told me, sometimes you'll get a message from a student from long ago, and then they'll tell you, here's the outcome of all of the work that we did and how I was able to take that in that seed form and grow this oak. And it's phenomenal. Sometimes you hear from them, sometimes you don't. I know Roy, we just coincidentally happen to have a connection in common, and she had such a breakthrough after she worked with you, and now she doesn't even get seizures anymore.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Yes.
You're welcome. Yeah. And that was a combination, and it's never, the mentor, of course, can't do anything for. And that's, I think, one of the the traps, is that you get in and you try to meddle for them and do it for them and make it happen for them and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't really work. This is one of the roles of that sitting, this sitting backness that it can require when you maybe do want to meddle and you do want to control or all of that kind of stuff. But it's the real power is in, I'll just go right to it. It's a love.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to work with anybody that I don't love.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not just for me, that's for them. So especially if the work was to go very deep, that I don't think, oh my God, I have to talk to so-and-so today. I don't want to do a single interview with anybody that I don't already love.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to bring you on just to, I don't know, whatever the case is. And so that is such a sustaining force over time. It's identical with authenticity. It's identical with freedom. You have these words, they don't really touch it, but when you know it, then it's undeniable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like how you guys keep using the word shocks. I just like that evolution moves like shocks. It doesn't just go linearly all the time. Sometimes, wow, there's a great advancement, and I just feel like we're on a stage for a shock. What is the next shock that art is going to bring us to understand our place as humans and what we're capable of? And there's a book called, I think, Superhumans, and it talks about how superheroes was based off the idea, like Superman was almost not a documentary, but it was like a treatise on the abilities of humans. It's so high that they're like superhumans, like the story of Jesus. This guy's walking on water, walking through walls. He's cloaking himself. He's doing superhuman stuff.
Miracles.
And the idea, and he said the reason why we resonate to superheroes is because it's about us. It's about humans. Like we're humans. We just think we're just little cats walking around. But yeah, you know what I mean? We got capes and stuff. We can fly. We can see through walls. We can, like, these stories are precursors of the level to what kind of creation that we are. And I think that we can get lost in the fact that artificial intelligence can kind of emulate some features and stuff, but there's some things that just go off the scale. And if I leave one parting thought, I was at a talk recently, and he was saying if you just learn words, you can just learn words and they open up dimensions. And I would add to that, if you just listen to stories, you don't know if they're true, because a lot of times the more true it gets, the more ridiculous it sounds. It's just like you can't believe it, but it speaks to the capability of humans are so like superhumans. Like if you for the audience out there, if you YouTube Brain Man, right? Not Rain Man, but Brain Man. And it's just all these different people that have gifts. You know what I mean? Like you could just say a date and they can tell you what day of the week it was, or the guy can see something one time and just draw. It's just so many talents. And you can also Google Stan Lee, who did all the Marvel comic books. He has a documentary underscoring what I'm saying, and it's called Superhumans, I think. There's a document about superhumans that just have super abilities. And I remember there was one, he was like Spider-Man. He could go on a rope and just with his hands climb up a rope so fast that they had a race between him going up the building and a Navy SEAL dude projecting down, and who was going to win, right? Who was going to get down first and who was going to get up first. And the guy going up won. So the idea of superhumans and what we're capable of is like the story of the caterpillar to the butterfly. And I think that's what chapter we're in now, as we marvel over AI copying human ability. I think that we're still haven't reached the butterfly. You know what I mean? The butterfly effect of what we're getting ready to come up with. What is the next shock? The butterfly is the next shock. The caterpillar that dies to the old to become something new. And I think that humans are graduating now. And that, I love that term that you guys are using, next shot.
Can I sneak this in there? Because the butterfly has been such a like resonating thought since it first came up. And the thing that followed that thought was, where are we, either as teachers, as artists, or just practitioners of anything, where are we at? Are we willing to yield to someone tampering with and controlling the chrysalis or the cocoon and the nutrients and the things that happen? Do we want to become the kind of persons who can engineer the chrysalis or tweak the chrysalis or the cocoon in such a way that the butterfly does come out a stronger butterfly? Is that a permission that we have even? Or is this such sacred territory? Tampering with the chrysalis, that's what I did. I wrote a note down. Or is that such sacred territory that nobody's supposed to get involved with that part, only be involved in the butterfly business or in the caterpillar business? But I had to say, you brought that out of me. It's kind of fun.
That is the next Dr. Moreau movie right there.
Yeah, exactly. Any thought on that, Micah? The last question that KG asked?
About the chrysalis?
Yeah, the right to tamper. What was your phrase, KG?
What is it?
Tamper with it.
Yeah, tampering with the chrysalis. That's a good name for like your autobiography or something, right? Yeah. But, I think they already are. You know, like we live in a mad science world. I mean, Roy's brought up AI, where we're at now. You know, it's highly disruptive. All the biotech stuff they're trying. Should they is the question, KG, right? Like, should they? Should we? I think there's some things that if we hold them as sacred, we can respect them as such. You know, like Roy was talking about a baby coming down the birth canal. Well, there is something to that. I mean, you know, versus like cesarean section, right? Where you know, it's like, is there some time maybe that the cesarean could be used? Yeah. Is it overused? Most certainly. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, I don't know. I think it would take a really high level of discernment for that. I don't know if I'd want to mess with the chrysalis, you know, the juices inside, and you know, but you know, I'm sure Bill Gates is already doing it, you know. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You went right to the antagonist right there, man.
There you go.
Went right to the Phantom Menace.
He's just a little dainty, harmless computer scientist, Roy.
Yeah. Tampering with this chrysalis, tampering with the cocoon.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave computers and get into this business. Okay, yeah. There's a movie right there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, how are you guys doing for time? If I have another question or two, even is it
another
okay?
2 questions, and then I've got to run. You
gotta run. Okay, I don't want to keep you. Let's go. I'll go for the juiciest one. So I see all of you guys as on the cutting edge of what you're doing. And people don't necessarily get the cutting edge, right? I jump up and down about, you know, like our first interview, Roy, and this one, and people are like, oh, Beth's doing another interview. They don't understand, like, this is epic stuff, you guys, like, you know, and then, so how do you get along when you notice, like, people, you say with the dramatar, Roy, when you didn't even know if you were hoping for no reaction was going to be the best. If they didn't react, then you could keep going.
Yeah. Right.
Never mind approve of it.
Yeah. I was just trying to make it as natural as the air. You know, like the air. A lot of the great stuff is unsung. It's not, oh, look at me. It's just like, it's everywhere. And that goes all the way to the quantum level too. Like when you look at your bloodstream, everybody thinks the heart is pumping the blood. But when you look at the baby forming, the bloodstream is running before the heart is there. So It's like, yo, man, it's like, what are we? Now, what is that stream? What's making it move if it's not the heart? And I just went to a talk. They're saying the heart is actually catching the stream. It's catching the stream and distributing it. But the force of the stream is something else. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like, so a lot of the great stuff is not coming with a great announcement. It's not coming to sort of be recognized as it is to be felt. And so a lot of times I've approached it like that. there's things that I'm working on the drums. If I explained it, I'd rather do it first and then explain it after it's already happening, you know, that kind of.
Leave that cocoon be. Let it grow.
Kind of like sometimes the biggest thing in the story is not said. You know, it's never said in the movie V for Vendetta that Evie is V. It's never said. It's never said in the Phantom Menace that the boy is not the only Phantom Menace. Actually, the main Phantom Menace is Senator Palpatine. Never stated. You see what I'm saying? It's like there's a bunch of movies like that are juicy like that, where they never say the main thing. That's an art. Yeah.
And it sounds like you never get frustrated that if people don't get it, like it does. It doesn't sound like that.
Yeah, but that's okay, because, you know, what does it say? Where technology comes that you understand is not the future. You know, it's kind of like, if you understand it, you're not in the future. Something like that. I'm not saying it good, but you know.
Yeah, because we're talking a future man here, right? Like you've been ahead of your time. My grandmother was ahead of her time. Mike, I believe you're ahead of your time. KG, I don't doubt, especially with the trajectory that I can feel on you. That you know. So it's a strange place. We won't belabor it now. I know that you need to if you need to head out, Roy. That's totally fine. You've got a meeting coming up. I'm going to spend a little time with the chat because I haven't been able to interact very much, and so I'll stick on for a little bit. But if you guys need to go, please share anything that you would like to share.
Yeah, I'd love to leave a thought talking about the future, man. It's like, you know, it's like understanding rhythm. Do I really even know what it is? It's invisible. It makes designs. It makes people dance. Well, when we talk about music and we talk about, you know, the essence of what we're doing, the main point can be invisible. So I thought about the word future, and I saw a video on this, and the guy is talking about the word future. When you look up the definition of future, one of the definitions is the time after you write or speak a thing is the definition of the future. Like, that sounds like some Yoda kind of stuff, man. The time after you write or speak a thing is the definition of the future. And then you can look up the definition of the past, and it says the same thing. The time before you speak or write a thing. Whoa, man, that we're in the Neville Goddard, we're in the Abdullah, we're into the science of in the beginning was the word, right? And we have the word, we've got the tongue. The tongue is not just a tongue. The words are not just words, but they're also swords. That's why they spell swords. They're giving you a clue that swords and words is the same thing. The clash of tongues, right? The tongue is like you're carrying a lightsaber. We're creatures with a lightsaber of magic in our mouth and our tongue, and we don't know it. So often we're walking around with a lightsaber and we're cutting ourselves just because we're careless with a sharp knife. So we're giving ourselves little sniving. Oh, I feel so tired, and you just issued a command, but you didn't know. See what I'm saying? So I'm saying that to say that a lot of times the main point is not even said about how great it is that you are. And if we're some kind of like creature that creates with our spoken word, in the beginning was the word, and we got the word too. And in the dictionary, the definition of future says the time after you write or speak a thing. That has something to do with the word. That's very powerful. The main message hasn't been said, but just look it up and just ponder on that. I want to leave that with your audience. You know what I mean? Just ponder that, man. There's great mystery to what it is that we are as a human creation. And whatever the powers of the creator that created us, we have those powers too, unbeknownst to ourselves. So a lot of times we use it in reverse. The power of creation is used in worry and fear and this and that and hating the differences. You know what I mean? It's like the power is distorted. Yeah. And so the great journey of art, we can unpack what this beautiful creation is and trying to be. So I'll leave that too with the audience. I mean, like, who's gonna start Department of Art? Maybe I'll start one.
Yeah.
Department of Art, man. This guy is gonna be in charge of the food right here, right? We all kind of food. It's not gonna be one kind of food. Like, you know, like sometimes I hear the jazz guys say, no, it's only gonna be one kind of jazz. You can't play that kind of jazz. No, we're gonna have all kind of food, man. We're gonna have all kind of arts. We're gonna have sculptures. We're gonna have poets. We're gonna have storytellers, right? A department of art, man.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Amazing. Yeah. If you don't know Banjo Glass, he's going to be coming on in 2 weeks, and he's a big fan of yours. I go to his Instagram. He's so humble. He comes and likes my Instagram posts, and then it turns out like he has this massive following. He creates art out of you know, he comes from the Grateful Dead scene where he blows glass. These huge sculptures, they go for like $30,000. It's become a massive culture over time, self-directed. You know, like authentic, organic culture, the real deal. And so I'm excited to talk to him. There's some overlap with what you're doing. He's again a very big fan, and now I'm a fan of his too. So
nice.
Yeah, pretty fun. So following the breadcrumbs, thank you very much, FutureMan, Roy, Wooten of the Wooten brothers, and go check out all of that music. They've got an album coming up, so I do recommend that. I'll be sharing some more links. There are links in the show notes. KG, thank you so much for joining us. It was amazing to get to know you. I suspect.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I suspect we'd be in your good company. And Micah, thank you again for being part of my world and bringing so much wisdom to, and your work. It's expanded mine exponentially.
Yeah. If I had one last, I just want to shout out to a guy, Michael Ellars, who's starting a new platform for artists called The Flow. And it's artists being able to put work out there that's not going to be harvested by AI as a principle of the platform. And he's on quite a hero's journey for artists and creators to be able to put stuff out that's not putting out to be harvested by the platform itself. And it's quite a journey. And just stay tuned about that. Keep your ears open, because we're going to be creating works of art and putting stuff out in an inspired way. And so look up The Flow. And
what's his name? Again, I'll put up a comment. Yeah. What was his name?
Michael Hanu, Hanu Chik. I think I spelled that right. But the platform is called The Flow. It's just starting to come out in beta form and starting to invite people, and
okay,
you know, it's quite a journey.
Okay, fantastic. Share it with me. I think I mangled the spelling, so we'll leave that. But yeah, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. Like I said, I'm going to stay on, and yeah, I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your day. This was amazing.
Thanks. What
an honor.
See some of the chat that you guys are getting ready to do. I'd love to.
What was that, Roy? Sorry.
I'm getting ready. I have to leave because I got to go to a meeting. But is there a replay where I'll be able?
Yes. Immediately, all of the so we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on Rumble Live. They all turn into the recording. Then in about a day, all the podcasts come out, Spotify, iTunes, and a whole bunch of different channels that pick that up. Okay. So yeah, the recordings will be available. I'll send you a bunch of links.
Okay, great. Yeah, because I'd love to hear your chat with the people listening. You know.
Yes. Lots of great feedback.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, thank you so much, Kery, Micah. You know.
Love you, man.
Thank you for having me. And this has been great. All the audience, people listening in the future. Yeah.
Great to meet you.
Yeah. Amazing. Thanks, you guys. I'll look forward to future. Right. By the way, one very last thing. You guys are all in the same zone. Will you promise me you're going to have a tea or a coffee, something like that together?
I invite everybody to come over here to the sanctuary. That's where I am right now, here in North Nashville. We'll connect, and this is a pretty cool place. There's some pretty cool coffee shops in the newly gentrified Buchanan district that we can have a sip of tea or a sip of coffee and chop it up. I invite you.
Okay, let's do it. Let's make it happen.
Okay, fantastic.
All right.
Okay, lots of love. Bye, you guys.
Take care.
Peace.
See you. And Micah, do you need to go as well?
I can stay if you want.
You can stay for a bit. Okay.
Yeah, if you want, if that's helpful.
Oh, sure. Why not? Yeah. So okay. I'm now. I have been seeing the chat. I wasn't totally ignoring it, but my brain couldn't do the multitasking. So Michelle said that was outstanding. Thank you, panel and chat. And we're going to go. Let's see. Should I go backwards or forwards? I think I'll go backwards. And hydro colliders versus human ingenuity. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Well said. Feel free to jump in, Mike, if you had anything also for, we had some good questions. This is where I'm going to lose some context of what the question is, if you want to remind me. And Artist Seer, nice to see you. I'm glad you're here. It is a growing the soul kind of garden experience that I feel like we're having over here. Oh, one thing I wanted to talk about briefly is that Micah and I are going to be offering a new course, and it's called Self-Remembering with Archetypes. We haven't set the exact time to start in June yet, but that's going to be using the work of the hero's journey, the archetypes of the hero's journey, the role playing that would maybe, train people to be an actor, but you're actually training yourself to tell the truth and to be yourself and to find the immense freedom of that I've had the pleasure of experience. So I just want to make sure everybody knows that will be coming up, and to watch for an announcement. If you're not yet on my email list, you can sign up at beth@bethmartins.com to do a King Hero Archetype quiz in 10 minutes, and then you'll be in the line to hear about everything. And Michelle had a lot of fun looking up the word sublimate. That's really cool. And she also said she liked reading the King James Version, Old English. It was Beaufort. I forget the reference. There was what was Roy saying about, or was it KG talking about the Bible? I made a note. What was that?
He did. He said, I think he was just talking about the woman. I remember the mentor, like she said, if that's written in the Bible, I will eat the page. Show me and I'll eat the page.
Right. Yes, exactly. There was that. And I guess how the Bible also, this was one thing. So yeah, how the Bible doesn't often say things outright. It's it's going round and about the same way that Roy was talking about. And I remember I had a friend who was very, a very strong Christian, and he said, the hero's journey, it sounds satanic to me. There's no hero's journey in the Bible. And I'm like, it's all the hero's journey, the whole entire thing. You can't read any single Bible story without it being the hero's journey. So that was good one. Yeah. Standing on the shoulders of giants. I know your story's so big, Micah. I just have a feeling it would end up being a 1,600-page book or a 1,300-page book like Beelzebub.
Would anyone read it?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
There's a lot. It would be. You're right. It would take a long time. It'd be a long. There'd be a lot.
Yeah, a lot of twists and turns and everything like that. This is funny. Beth taught me to make music using annoying sounds to set the bass line. And yeah, this was one of my tools that I used to get annoyed by sounds, and it doesn't happen very much anymore. It happened the other day. This was interesting. I had a light that all of a sudden had a hum to it. And I'm trying to read the book that you recommended. We're reading together on a spaceship with Beelzebub. What's his last name?
Gurdjieff.
Oh, he is Kurdian, yeah. And then so this, this unpleasant sound is there. So I forced myself to hum along and harmonize with that tone while I'm reading.
Oh,
Took extra energy to do this and to be able to actually understand.
That'd be work. Yeah, that's like doing work.
It was work because I got the left brain and the right brain. And then I'm so happy singing, and I realize, my bass note is gone. It actually shorted out the light. The light still worked, but the sound was gone. So
that's awesome.
Not always the case, but that can happen.
That's cool though.
Yeah, it was a fun result. I'm like, my bass note is gone. My drone. Yeah. Let's see. Hearing sounds off key is rough. It's what it is, right? Like you know it immediately. You don't have to be an expert at anything to know it's off. Why is that? Why do we have that, Micah?
When we know, like, when somebody's off tone or they're out of key, because they're missing what's that?
Or lying.
Like same kind of thing. You the truth resonates a certain way, and so like if that geometry that we were just talking about, if you are harmonizing with it or resonating with it, then it has we experience it almost like a pleasantness. Right. And then when it's off, it's repelling. You know, it actually, we get an aversion to it, and it's nails on a chalkboard, right? Like you're like, oh God, I mean, it's just the sound, but it can really make you sick, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they use weapons like that, unfortunately, on crowds and everything like that. They know that it's, yeah, and they probably do it in restaurants where they don't want you to stay very long. I've been hearing.
Yeah, it can be used against you, and that's, you know, kind of been hinting at like the objective art in a way, but not, it's,
For nefarious. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Everything can be used in more than one way, unfortunately. And hello, flyest underscore ninja. Nice to meet you or see you if you're here new. And you love Mrs. Hall, best piano teacher you ever had. So I bet you're related with Mr. KG, who invited some friends over. Welcome to the channel. And Michelle is laughing. And she said, conductors say everything without saying anything at all. That's really true, actually. Hey? The conductors, yeah, they literally don't say a single word. And Michelle was saying I did a good snippet on the power of questions. That was actually a whole training which is available. I believe you could go to my website and get that right now, but you could also let me know. So that's, you know, when it doesn't work, to just tell people what to do and give them advice and say, oh, here's your problem. Like a lot of it can be very tempting. Then I resort to questions, which have been much more fruitful.
Yeah.
And Michelle, looks like Michelle, you said the chief cornerstone is that builders rejected.
Yep.
Oh, so the builders rejected the chief cornerstone.
Mm-hmm. They said it was the stone that the builders rejected, which that has like a lot of meaning. Like there are many ways of that, applying that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Christ is now in the spirit, and where the spirit is, there is freedom. Nice. Yeah, that's so interesting. Like the cornerstone, that's like, you know, that's structurally important.
Mm-hmm.
Say if you're just on the tangible example of architecture. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then we don't want that. That would be like a stone that would work very hard, right?
Yeah.
Having pressure and resistance from
basically
every angle.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Yeah. No one wants to be a cornerstone, I imagine. And let's see. Do you want to say something?
No. Go ahead. No, I would take that one. That one would take a while to talk about. There's actually, there's like so many contexts with just that part. It has to do with a lot of things. Even has to do with like the pyramid, but it would take a while.
So maybe we can make that for something in the future that we do.
Yeah.
Note.
Yeah.
Nice. And Mr. Brad LePass is here from our Love Your Liver community. Welcome. He says he couldn't wait to watch later, but couldn't resist dropping in. It's very good. And bringing the elixir home.
Mm-hmm.
Facts on the musical conflict. Wooten. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That was the kind of music community I was exposed to. It was all conflict, and it wasn't outer conflict. It was behind the scenes conflict. You know, you'd get this sort of more superficial relationship people had to each other that seemed nice, and it really wasn't. But that's good. And this one was for you, Micah. I can tell you're a filmmaker. I love how you intertwine the journey of music and film. Well, that was something I wanted to get into actually, Micah, because your craft is so multimedia, you know, and you've had to pull together so many different elements, living and technological at the same time, not just the multimedia of like sound art or sound image and narrative and all of that kind of thing. Do you think there's something about that either requires a different kind of brain or cultivate a different kind of
I mean, if you first of all, thank you, Flyest Ninja, and I'm glad you got something out of that. And the thing about filmmaking is, if you actually get good at it, it's like a life commitment. the amount of labor, and because it's so many things. It's like almost all the art forms coming together, plus business management, plus being an engineer, plus understanding, teamwork and leadership, and then budgets and producing, and it's like, it's just so it's kind of like I think it was that KG was saying, like, that's the one that he knows not to mess with, like being a director, because it's just such a heavy commitment of, if you're going to be good at it. I mean, anyone these days now could grab a phone and film something, and after 90 minutes, hey, you made a feature movie, right? I mean, but it's too easy with AI and stuff. It's easy, but to do it at the level of like a Star Wars, right? Since we talked about that so much, it's a Herculean task for sure. And so you're asking, what kind of person do you have to be?
Or what does it create? Like, because the word in my mind is wholeness. There's more, say, what KG was talking about, the integration.
You do have to learn to integrate things. Like there are filmmakers that are more lopsided, where they get they get like the story, maybe directing actors down really well, but they never understand the cinematic art. So they're always kind of leaning on their team. Then you have some that are super visually proficient, maybe not as good with understanding subtext or musical timing and stuff like that. And it's rare to get filmmakers that can do it all. Because films are a team, you can compensate. So you don't have to be great at everything, but I think you have to kind of understand it to a degree. I think that's what it is. Like, you actually have to at least know the basic fundamentals of how that department, works. And I think, what does it make out of you? I mean, it makes you, like, I had to learn a whole bunch of stuff I had no desire to learn. In fact, I never even wanted to learn. I don't really care about cameras or lights or technical but you had to learn it all. I had to learn creature effects and special, all this stuff, scale models, like things I didn't want to do. I was hoping to hire other people, but the responsibility and onus just comes so heavily on you, especially if you're working on a low budget, that you wind up having to learn everything. So I think it makes you someone that can discipline yourself to learn something that you don't necessarily have a draw to.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. It's hard work, right? That I deal with that with every person that comes to create a business. They have a romantic idea about what they want to do, and they should do that.
Right.
But it's baked right in. You won't be able to do that if you don't run a business, if you don't have a community, if you don't know how to communicate.
Yeah. And there's a big business, because every film is a business, so it's a lot like that. It's a lot like a business in the sense that you're going to have responsibilities that everybody just wants to see their name, in the with the shiny lights on the marquee, or they've got these ego things, or I want the movie finished, but they don't understand what it's going to take to get that thing done. And it's very arduous. And and not everybody, that's why a lot of people attempt it, and then they realize, like, oh, I'm not really cut out for this. It's a lot, but
yeah, tall order, definitely.
Yeah. Well, just like a business, even a business is a lot. It's not easy.
Mm-hmm.
How many people think they do until you show them what it actually takes, and then they're like, oh,
Yeah, exactly. I know it looks really glamorous and stuff like that, but and if you're smart, you will build enough of it in that you like truly love, that you love so much you are willing to go to the end of the earth and do all the things you don't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And suffer consciously. So I believe this was for you, Eliza. Nice to have you here. I don't know if you're still around. We're going on 3 hours here, but I remember that was a comment towards you about popularity. I'm not exactly sure the context. If you're still around, please let us know. Let's see, is
that the same Eliza from our class?
Yes. Oh no, different Eliza actually. We got two.
One from the meeting. There was yours too, right? There's okay.
Yeah.
I don't know which. I think I've talked to both of them before, thinking they were the same person. So I don't know which one.
Which one? Yeah, I know. I had the same. I finally sorted them out, and I met this Eliza in person, so that was really fun. So now I know exactly who she is. And Michelle is loving the panel, and she's got Do Re Mi on her mind. we were just finishing the class this weekend, and it was like ending with a strong do. which is that like do, re, mi, it's that first note, and coming out of the gate with a strong one, and not to worry. I'm just repeating what you said, please feel free to add, but not to worry if sometimes you make a do and it's not strong enough to carry you to re.
That's right.
And that can happen several times. Like, oh, that didn't work. And then it's like, okay, here I come, do.
Kind of like the scene in the movie The Matrix when Neo jumps off the roof and fails the first time. Have you seen the film?
Yeah, I blocked it, but I think I recognize. Yeah, I think I recognize.
Yeah, like they thought, oh, surely he'll make it on the first attempt, and even the savior or whatever couldn't do. You know, it's like it's being okay with that, knowing that like when people come to anything, failing is a part of it as well.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Failing is a big part of it. Exactly, you got it. Just got a late message from KG, who's not here anymore. Oh no, he is. Okay, wait a minute. Hello, KG. Tampering with the Chrysalis is another book from this panel. Thank you for being here, KG. Sorry, I didn't realize that. You're welcome to come back on if you have the time. We'll just take a few more minutes. I just really don't like ignoring the chat. That sucks because I beg you guys to come and then you come and let's see that maybe we're getting more to the end of it. I like that sweeping through the range. That's something different. What KG was talking about, hey? Where I know what he's talking about when you're just, wanting to hit the notes, and that's good for pitch training. But when you're sweeping through the notes, there's something else taking place. I don't know if you have any insight on that or.
Yeah, that's the structure, the arch form.
The arch form.
See,
what makes it round?
Yeah. So what's the invisible? It's kind of what Roy kept saying. The hidden part, the part that's unspoken. So the notes by themselves are just still one single tone, right? It's the arrangement, and like it's all in context. If we had had more time, I could have explained that inside of the film world. But it's all the context that matters inside of the structure. And an arch form, meaning like the form that those things are built on, that you can't see. So it's almost like you're seeing the little gemstones, which are the notes, but there's actually a structure they're built upon that's invisible, holding them up.
Yeah. Right. And then if it's just even symbolic, but like the sense of an arch and the smoothness of it, and the way the Fibonacci, right?
Yeah.
It's a movement, a recognizable movement. Yeah, beautiful. And so thank you for this. She said, love the way Beth says things so sweetly. That's not a good goal. Yeah, you have to make it sweet because I'm saying things sometimes that might not be digested easily. And Interoceptive Academy, nice to have you here. Been loving the discussion. So great. I'm glad you came. The quantum, the talk about the quantum, I think that's such a great, it's a great point because our lives are quantum and they're made up of these quantum moments. And I kept hearing the word choice, like with every moment, what do you do with it? I woke up to a comment on one of my groups this morning and I'm like, yeah, what the heck? And, I actually ended up deleting the comment. I rarely do that. Rarely do that, but it was confusing. It was misleading to someone else. It wasn't the point, and then I start going into some thoughts about it and oh my God, where was I headed with that? Can you remember?
Quantum. Yeah.
And the moments and what to do with that. And then I caught myself and it's like, okay, well, what is this for? Like we were saying, use all the resistance for the true purpose of the authentic freedom. And then, then I can U-turn back to it and doesn't have to take very long or a huge amount of energy.
Right. Yeah. It's, I think they kind of one of the points of that was that it's the little tiny granular things sometimes that matter.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, because the whole is made up of all of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it kind of like, the way an oyster works, it's just a one little grain that creates the pearl. it only take like one little thing that gets in and irritates you, that you don't catch, that you don't stand guard on, can cause a huge reaction like that.
Yeah, exactly. When we love the pearls have been kind of a symbol of what even wealth and stuff like that. But it came from an irritation that wasn't dealt with, let's say.
Yeah.
Or it was the only way to deal with it.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, this has been with Micah Ellars. Is staying on to the very end with me. I appreciate that very much. You can find him on Instagram at Micah Ellars, and you can also email him, Micah Ellars. Is it? You say it so I don't mangle it.
Oh, it's my name with an underscore in the middle at hotmail.com. Yeah.
Micah_Ellars at hotmail.com.
Where they can come to the House of Free Will and meet me there too.
Exactly. Yeah, Mike is luckily we're very fortunate to have him. He comes on a bunch of the private podcasts that I do in the House of Free Will. We do snippet videos, and they've all been extremely deep and focused in the work of Gurdjieff in the last little while. Very amazing. That gave birth to our first course, The End of the False Self. That's birthing the second course, Archetypes, for the purpose of self-remembering. I actually started thinking that now the House of Free Will meetings, the weekly meetings, should be for the purpose of self-remembering. Exclusively. I always have that in my mind, but it's been more unspoken. So I'm curious to see, like, if people understood that was like actually the point is to be, to have a conversation around the truth. That would be cool. And I'll just mention that you can find Roy at FutureManMusic.com. Search the Wooten brothers, search Bella Fleck and the Flecktones. There's so many amazing interviews of Roy. He really geeks out on the music, which, I would talk to him for 6 hours. This interview could have been 6 hours, getting all of those goods out of you guys. I know there was a lot more. But so there's lots that you can find with him. And then Kery Greene, you can search him as well. And he has a YouTube channel that I meant to share. So I'll really quickly grab that link right now. And here it is. He's teaching over at the Country Music, he's in the Country Music Hall of Fame, pardon me, and teaching over at the Nashville Music Academy profile. Oh, that's his profile at the Nashville Academy. So this is to follow up and find Kery. And then the call kept dropping in the woo. I know, it's funny, you were saying amazing stuff, and then Roy kept dropping out, and everybody's calling him. So now you helped him for the next interview. He won't have trouble with that. And Elise has been here. Mike New has been here. That's fantastic. Great to hang around. Please share this out with all your buddies and friends, and then we shall see you next time. It might be in 2 weeks for the King Hero's Journey. Did I do that right? No, pardon me. Sorry, that was your Instagram, and this is the email. Yeah. And then in a couple of weeks, I will be back on this show with Banjo Glass. You can find him on Instagram. Really neat guy. The reason I was inspired to invite him is because he said his kids keep calling him a king hero. And we're talking about inventing words. And that's a little, I didn't make up those words, but I put those two words together. And then people reflect them back to me. And that's so fun, right? Something has been created. So that's what inspired me to have him on. He just sounds like a really cool guy. And it's it's the culture creators out there that I think are the most fascinating and worthy of learning from, such as yourself. So, all right, I think that's it for the stream finally. Thank you, Micah, for hanging around.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. And it was thanks to Roy and KG as well. It was great to hear from them.
It was such good synergy with the three of you guys. I just knew it. So yeah. Keep me posted if you guys have a tea or something like that, how that goes.
Yeah, well, I'll let you know. Thank you. Yeah. Maybe you can calm down. You can fly down.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you said calm down, and I'm like, no, I'm
calm down. No. You can just run right over the border and down. Like, I don't know. How long of a drive would that be for you?
Could be 2.5 days.
So I'll be right there. But I will come. I would actually get on an airplane for that and suffer all the travel of it too. So, all right. So I'm going to play us out. This is a little piece by my son. And I love you guys. I love you, Micah, if you don't mind me saying.
Thank you.
And I will be back on Friday for the Beth of Fresh Air. By the way, that's a weekly show that happens every single Friday at 2:00 in the afternoon. And Mike has been a repeat offender on that show as well. Okay, everyone, have a great rest of your day. Bye for now.